This is Sour Bunny. You're listening to Nerd Thug Radio on IRLoneStar.com.
Welcome to Nerd Thug Radio.
Wow, that was hyper aggressive.
Little Seth Rollins intro music there. For
Okay,
the,
all right.
show.
We're going ham today.
It was like softly hyper aggressive though.
Right, yeah, because it wasn't
Softly
like
hyper.
over, like nobody was yelling at us, but I felt like they were about to.
They're about to.
I felt like if I'd read that in a book, it would have looked the same in the book whether the character had been yelling or whispering.
So if it was in the Bible, it'd have been red letters.
So that's where I get where I get
okay.
softly hyper aggressive.
All right.
We are Nerd Thug Radio. This is episode 20. We've made it 20 weeks on this show.
It's a lot of weeks.
That is a lot
I
of
am
weeks.
the Captain Joey Savage, sitting here with
Cory DLG.
our producer, the rated R superstar Nico DLG.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And finally, since we've come over to IR or to the studio of IR Lone Star, we've got
Yeah.
our boy Zac Attack in the building.
Hey
Hey.
Corey.
I always love
hey,
when
Joey.
his intros are just.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, guys.
Hey Nico Suave.
So
But I feel like the first line of that song though would have been something like "Do the dishes."
do the dishes, take out the trash.
Right,
The first line of what song?
the
Nico
music that was
Suave?
just, no, the
Intro.
music that was just playing.
We are on IRLoneStar.com.
It's funny.
Soon to be Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Sister Stations.
Very excellent. Facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio or simply hashtag Nerd Thug Radio on any social media website.
Or hashtag talking nerdy to you.
to you. So, boys, what's been going on this week? Anything new?
I mean everything's new.
Everything's new?
Duh.
You didn't ask me if I had anything on social media I wanted to plug this time. You always do.
Yeah, but last time you
It's the
said
highlight of me being on the show.
last
for
time
me.
you said don't find me, so
Right.
I felt like you were
already
just going
denied
to
it
yell
once.
at me this time.
Right.
And
We don't
then
want to.
you,
We don't want to make you angry.
I didn't want to see the Zach fighting stance come out, so I just didn't even ask you this time.
That is true.
That is true.
I don't
There
have
it
any
is.
social media, but I
So-
did get contacted that there's been an increase since the last time on the show, or last time I was on the show. So please stop Googling me. Also,
Okay.
Google,
not-
Google got in touch.
I'd prefer you guys not to do that. Also, any listeners, knock it off.
Knock it off. So Zach,
Don't
I see
Google Zach.
you've gotten some new ink since we saw you last. Is this true?
Some new what?
Some new ink. INK. Ink.
Tattoos?
Tattoo ink.
Did you ask me if it was true? Right after you said you saw
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I'm pretty sure we can roll the footage back, but I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
Yep, I did.
Very nice.
Did they shave your arm to do that?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
so
awkward.
hairy. Like, I even have a ton of hair on the underside. I got it on the underside of my forearm, right? And, like, I'm so hairy, like, even underneath my arms, like, where most people don't have a ton of hair. The guy had to shave it, and he shaved it with one of those little disposable
Yeah,
picks. And he
yeah.
went through 2 of them.
Yeah, my guy yells
For,
at me
like,
now.
and, like, for literally less than a foot of arm length.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
My guy yells at me,
Why?
so I always pre-shave.
furry.
I
Does he?
pre-shave, yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm
Jimbo?
Yeah, but Jimbo's kind of hyper aggressive.
Yeah, but he's very hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm paying for a service. Like, I'm not.
I'm paying for a shave down, bro.
Like, I'm not.
that-
I'm not
is that-
doing half the tattoo myself.
Well, wait a minute. I don't think the tattoo involves a free shave. They would put that on the sign.
Do
if they
you
did.
use self
Doesn't
checkouts?
it?
Do you use self checkouts at the Walmart and the
No.
grocery stores?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't
with
have
that
any. I don't have any truck with that. I'm not. If I wanted to, if I got a discount for self checking out, then yeah.
Oh, that would
but I
be
feel
sweet.
like that
Right.
I'm paying for the service of having someone
Exactly.
check me out. Why would I
Exactly.
throw that service away?
So
I like the
actually,
way you
they've
go
done
with
some
that.
studies, and the numbers are coming back, and theft has increased
Since the self
since the
checkout.
self-checkout things,
That
and
makes
also
sense.
they're attributing it to customer frustration of self-checkout.
Right.
In other words, every time you swipe it and a little warning screen comes up that's like, hey, you got to get the clerk
When you
back
go to
here.
Walmart, there's like 8 different self checkout lines, but only one of them takes cash.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand that either. All the machines are there and they're open, but the guy's like, this is the only one that uses the debit card. And so, like, you have to, like, how does that work?
In a couple of the countries I've been to, a lot of the grocery stores, it's more than half of the registers are self checkout, right? And it's weird to see because people are all about it. But my policy is if and when I do have to use a self checkout, everything gets 2 swipes, more than 2 swipes. I don't want a bag. Puts it in my pocket.
Right.
Done.
That's
Donezo.
that's the 40%
What about those places
increase
where,
in
yeah, and
theft.
then like, what about places like Aldi's where you go there and they have a checker, but you have to bag your own stuff?
I think it's
Is that
just
correct?
Aldi.
Aldi?
But
Yeah.
Audi.
wait, you
have
bag
to-
your own stuff
yeah,
at Aldi?
You have to rent. You also have to rent a cart.
You gotta
It's
rent
not-
That
a cart.
also is everywhere but the U.S.
Well, renting the cart
That's
I'm
not
okay
uncommon.
with. Renting the cart I'm okay with because the carts take off and the carts cost money. That's part of their profit margins and losses. I'm okay with that. The bagging thing I'm a little unokay with because they post the wages of the employees on the Aldi signs when they're hiring. Like they're like now hiring clerks $10.50, and if I know the guy swiping my stuff makes $10.50, he can bag my stuff.
Why?
Yeah, he needs to bag it.
He needs to bag it because minimum wage at HEB is like $7.50, and that's what they get paid over there. So don't take your $3 better swiper and not bag my stuff. Really, he should do a $3 better job of bagging my stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I like the way
He should be
you're going.
bagging professionals. What
I
you're
like
saying?
the way-
Yeah, man. Like he should have a show.
Do you pay for the bags at Aldi?
That I
No, but I
don't
think you
know,
can bring
'cause
your
I
own.
went one time and I didn't like
We're getting
it,
a
so I
nod in the
haven't
back
gone
from special
You
guests.
do have to pay.
I went one time.
That's how
had a
that is.
bag, I'm
That,
out.
again, that's how it is everywhere with the U.S. You pay for the bags and you bag yourself, and it makes sense if you're paying for the bags that
But
you
this is
have to do it
America.
yourself because the cashier is uninvolved at that point.
Right, because you bought the bags.
Right.
But does that mean if you bring your own bags, like you're responsible for the safe? Like I don't know that I could keep my pudding and my vegetables safe together.
Now I do like those people that show up to like regular grocery stores
You don't
and
know
they
if you-
bring their own bags.
I do that.
You do that?
Yeah, I keep probably about usually I keep about 12 of those what are they called bags?
Little canvas bags?
reusable bags in my
Yeah.
trunk.
So
It's handy. It's handy
Awkward.
because when I get regular groceries, they have a policy because I do most of my grocery shopping at Walmart, right? Because it's an expense thing.
That's horrible.
When I'm looking for good meat or like good fresh produce, I'll go to a real grocery store. But in terms of like I need this food for the next 2 weeks, I go to Walmart. You can't beat Walmart's prices.
no, you really can't.
I mean, you can't.
That's what I hate about Walmart.
Most grocery stores can compete with Walmart on name brand stuff, but Walmart store brand stuff, which
Right.
for the things I buy don't make any kind of difference, you can't beat them. So when I buy groceries at Walmart, they have a policy. It's like I want to say it's like 5 items or less per plastic bag, and I end up with like 30 bags, which it's not a weight issue. It's a inconvenience issue when I'm unloading the groceries.
Yeah, definitely. I feel on
you
that
just have
one.
like a
And,
million
So like I
bags.
bring like 10 of my own bags, and I can fit $200 worth of groceries in 6 bags.
that's why I no longer go
Why
to the
aren't you
grocery
fatter?
store.
What do you mean?
$200.
2 weeks. It's usually under $200. I'm quite good at grocery shopping.
All right.
That's why I no longer go to the grocery store.
I honestly I hate Walmart because it's so convenient.
I don't.
They trick you into spending like an extra $40
No,
due
no,
to
man.
convenience.
I go online to
Pure
HEB.
convenience.
I place my order online at
Wait a
HEB,
minute, does this work? Because I've heard of
and I
this.
have them deliver it to me. Never even have to set foot in the place.
I love grocery shopping though.
Do you?
It is
There's
one of
something
my.
wrong with
It is
you.
easily one of my favorite things to do.
But how do you learn about new cereals if you don't go to the store?
Right,
called
Walmart isn't
commercials?
Walmart isn't my
Google?
favorite place to grocery shop, but I love to grocery shop.
I hate it.
I
It's my
have.
least favorite
I
thing to
love
do.
it. I love it so much, and it's such a relaxing experience for me that
This is awkward.
because I have put all of my recipes, things I like to make, into a spreadsheet along with their ingredients on every spreadsheet line.
Such a nerd.
Wow.
I filter my spreadsheet by the recipes I'm making for the next 2 weeks, and I've also put row locations for every item on that list, so that I
So
can
organized.
so that I can quickly and efficiently get the stuff I need to,
I don't know
which
if
leaves
this
me
is
more
efficient
time
or if this is
for browsing and walking around and enjoying it.
Wait a minute. You do all of this so you can spend extra time at the grocery store.
I wouldn't say
So you don't do all
I-
of
no,
this.
no, no, I
He
would
likes
you
the
can
people
get-
watch. He just wants the
No,
people
no,
watch.
no.
Right.
I wouldn't say so I can spend extra time. Like I don't spend any more time in the grocery store, but I don't. It becomes less of a where is this? I need to make sure I get this. It's not as frantic or
What kind of
stressful
what kind
to
of
find
high
what I need.
stress shopping scenarios are you under?
None. I don't
Like
I-
if
He
when I
never faces shop stress because he has a
Because
list.
of-
I
the
wouldn't.
list.
I wouldn't say even before the list. It was high stress. But what would happen is I would spend so much time trying to find those one or two
you know
things
what?
on my list that I couldn't look at all the other.
Did
stuff
you
I
ever
like to
watch
look at when I grocery shop.
Supermarket Sweepstakes as a kid? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like
Supermarket Sweep?
whatever it's called. I feel like this is where your love of grocery shopping came from.
No, I get it because you have the severe ADHD. I'm gonna give away your medical information there.
It's not ADHD. I'm not hyperactive.
No, that's true. You're super lazy. You have the severe ADD. So you walk into the grocery store and without the list, you would never
not
find what
hyperactive,
you.
I'm lazy.
You would walk out with like 6 things.
Oh man, I love it.
But they'd be shiny and bright and full of sugar, and then you would have nothing to eat because you would spend the $200 on the 6 things.
These are accurate things he's saying.
Right. You need a
Oh,
list.
man.
I can totally see
I
that.
like it. Well,
But
you
see,
know,
I
it
enjoy
works
it.
for you.
Like I said, I like going to the grocery store.
See, but like I walk into the Walmart and I mentally run down what I need, and every once in a while something doesn't make it on the list, like I forget something. But I don't like blow up trying to figure out where. One thing though, I wasn't at a Walmart. I was at a what was
HEB,
it?
Kroger, Randall, bada boom.
It was at HEB.
Those guys in the
It was
room.
an HEB, and
a
I was
critical
looking
plot
for
point.
sandwich bags.
Okay.
And the HEB guy, I even stopped 2 different ones. They couldn't figure out where sandwich bags were at all. We wound up on like 4 different aisles. for
Do you know what the
sandwich
hardest
bags.
thing for me to find in a grocery store is? Velveeta cheese.
Okay.
They put that thing in so many different places.
It's on the same aisle as the Rotel. It's not in the
No,
refrigerated
not
section.
always. Everybody's always got it in some different places.
Yeah, every
man.
once in a while they put it like in like the
on an
like,
end cap, like next
yeah,
to
or the
laundry
summer
detergent.
sell aisle or something, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't understand what's
Every
going on
time we
here.
go in the grocery store, I know where everything is.
But it's
except
also
that
always in
Velveeta
its
cheese.
primary location. You guys know that, right, about grocery stores? End caps don't supersede
Oh
the
my God,
primary
this
location
guy.
for stuff.
This
Right,
guy.
right.
Whose idea was this?
The assistant manager of Aldi.
This was mine.
Yeah.
Assistant manager.
I mean,
Aldi.
like, I didn't bring up grocery shopping.
Can
Like,
we
I
talk
have a whole
hey,
list of things I wanted to talk about. None of them are the grocery
Can we talk
store on my
about
awesome list.
some news that's sweeping the nation globally and is becoming a like global phenomenon?
Sweeping,
What do you got?
Sweeping the nation globally.
Yeah.
That seems like a solid sentence.
This guy's always
Listen,
correcting
but
me.
look, America spreads all over the whole globe. I've seen
Yeah,
it.
duh.
It's all red, white, and blue. It's mostly blue, but then there's some red and white in it too.
What's
There's like
that?
white at the top, and
It's
then
globally
there's like
sweeping the
red-shaped
world.
countries.
Oh, social commentary right at the top.
Here we go. Burger King's Whopperito. This thing is going crazy.
I don't want to talk about this.
Never heard this in my life.
I don't
Never
wanna
heard of
talk
it?
about this.
Nor
No.
me.
It's a
don't wanna talk
Whopper
about this.
and a burrito, man. A
Right.
Whopperito.
They took it instead of grounding
You're
the beef
talking
up.
about it. You're talking
They
about
left
it.
they left beef patties inside the burrito.
Yeah, it's like a
They
Whopper.
whited a burrito. That's what they
Yeah,
did.
man, it's amazing. I
Right.
had one. Delish.
That-
I don't like Whoppers normally. I don't like Burger King at all, actually.
That's what
But
you
the
do when you grill
Whopperito?
hamburgers on Sunday and are out of buns on Monday.
Right.
Ooh-wee.
You make a
You make a Salisbury.
Whopperito.
You make
Whopperito.
Salisbury steak.
Right.
That's what you do. You make Salisbury steak when that
I
happens.
do love some Salisbury
But
steak.
this Whopperito, ooh
That's not,
boy.
that's not even the same thing.
How
I-
is it sweeping the nation if I've never heard of it?
How about this? I want a Whopper with cheese and no pickles
It's called Hungry Jack's
in a
in
chocolate
Australia,
shake.
chocolate shake.
There's a little throwback there for you.
Burger King's
Circa
called Hungry Jack's in Australia.
1976.
Are they? Do they still have a
I
king?
think. Maybe not.
This guy's just
I could
making
be
stuff
completely
up.
There's a restaurant called Hungry Jack's, and they have the same font and logo as...
Burger King?
Yeah.
Are you sure they're not Jack in the Box? And Jack just like took over the font because they didn't get the copyrights right?
I'm not sure.
That could
Yeah.
be. That could
That's
be very
accurate.
true.
I could see the Jack doing that.
That's accurate.
Did you know in Alabama there are no Jack in the Boxes or there weren't in 2002 because they'd had a food case, food poisonings that was so severe a little girl died, and it was
Wow.
very poorly handled in the media by Jack in the Box. Like
That's
when the
why
girl,
Jack in the Box went downhill in
Jack
the
in the
90s,
Box has a
right?
$2.99 big breakfast
they had-
platter now.
They do.
They
Pretty
had
good.
that resurgence in the late 90s, right? After all that food poisoning
right?
stuff they
But
dealt with.
basically, what happened
Maybe
is
we shouldn't
apparently,
use mad cow disease burgers.
well, apparently in Alabama, the story went that they actually publicly blamed the family. And like the cleanliness
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
family before they admitted that they
That's
did
right.
serve tainted beef.
yeah, admit no fault.
And so then Jack in
Right.
the Box like lost like Alabama was so
Picture
loyal
didn't happen, bro.
was so loyal to the family.
Pixar didn't happen.
That's right.
I mean, who won in the long run, the family or Jack in the Box?
Well, Jack in the Box lost because they had to leave, and then
But-
Checkers came in and bought all the ready-made locations.
But in the long run,
and there were like
who won?
20 Checkers in Alabama
Jack
and
in the
nowhere
Box is,
else.
Yeah, but Jack in the Box is blown up.
But like, how do you compare that? Who won? Like, Jack
Yeah,
in the
that
Box is a
family's gone.
business. This is a family. Their
Yeah,
little
right.
girl died. Jack in the Box still has burgers.
Family
Like, what do you
And
lost.
probably little girls.
Family lost.
Yeah, someone died. That's
Yep,
how that
Jack
works.
in the Box wins.
Speaking of someone dying, I was watching Cops with Nico last week, and
What you gonna
wait,
do
what?
when they come
Yeah.
for you, bad
Right.
boys?
It's a
bad
TV
boys.
show?
yeah,
Is it still on?
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're all
It's
like,
not. Surely it's not new episodes.
yeah, man. Actually, they also do a Cops 2.0 where they've like re-air old episodes and then put like notes and things across the bottom about.
Do they like Mystery Science Theater with
'Cause I-
cops?
'cause
No,
I've-
but it's not funny
Because
stuff. Like it's somehow
I've
I've
like,
often
often
Nico-
thought the
Nico,
one
that'd be good,
piece
right?
that was missing from
Pretty good.
Cops was a little more detailed, like something of a footnote length. So
Right.
I'm glad they've gone ahead and done that.
And I wish it would be funny stuff like when the cops are making up a law to arrest somebody for. I wish it would be stuff like the little trivia. This is not an actual crime. Like things like that. That would be funny, and
They're
I would
trying to
enjoy
get
that.
this person to admit to something
Right.
that's a real crime.
And then like a countdown. Here it comes. He's gonna admit it in 3, 2. Get a
It'd be like
lawyer.
a sweet pop-up video or blind date situation, except on Cops.
Except on cops.
They
That's
should
what they
just
need
get
to
like
do.
Rick and Morty to do cops.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
I would.
I watched that video you told me about last week.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the most hilarious thing I've seen.
So
in my
it's
life.
not safe for work. It's really dirty, but it's really funny.
NSFW. I told Zach about it, and he watched it. We were talking about it a little bit earlier.
So great.
Yeah, man. Like, and I need to make it very clear. I don't watch videos people send me. Like, I don't click on any of your links. I don't read any of your emails. I don't do any of
We
this.
appreciate it.
No, I don't. I don't even feel a little
I'm
bad.
starting to wonder what gets you labeled as a good friend. Like I've known you probably 20 years at this point, and I'm sincerely questioning it. Go on though.
I've made my peace with who I am.
I
like-
made my peace with the devil.
But like the only thing that Joey had working in his favor for this was like he said, you need to watch this Rick and Morty versus the state of Georgia thing.
'Cause to
And
be
he
quite
didn't
frank-
send me a link.
Let's be quite frank. I had never seen any episode of Rick and Morty
God,
before you
it's
told
so
me to do
good.
that.
Right.
It's
You
so
guys
good.
talked about it all the time.
It's so
I was
good.
like, I'll
It's
give
such
it
a
a
good
listen.
show.
So when I saw it, I was like, this thing is amazing. I have to tell Zach about it.
So, and it's just the two voices of Rick and Morty, and they're done by the same guy, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the same guy does both the voices, and so it's just him reading transcript from a bail hearing in a
Right.
case in Georgia where the guy is so vulgar and graphic, but clever that he gets the judge involved in this shouting match where eventually the judge is literally talking dirty to
Yeah.
the defendant.
Oh, yeah, I got a
And-
big mouth.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got a big
Oh,
mouth.
that's what that mouth is for. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd love it. Bring it on over here.
Right. It just
Stop
makes,
talking. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen right now.
and it makes the judge look like such an idiot because the defendant goes, "This is a kangaroo court," which is a valid expression, right? It relates to a bunch of things, and we could get into the history of that if we want, but we don't need to. And what the judge says, I don't think we're in Australia, which
Right.
has nothing
Nope.
to do with calling something a kangaroo court.
Right. Although
did
in
you
Australia, the
see-
And
kangaroo
then he
courts are
goes,
quite
"Oh
popular.
my god, this is jacked up."
Did you see like the video, like the picture, like of the actual judge? Oh my god.
Oh, man, I have to see
you got to
this.
find that guy.
Oh,
At
man.
one point, the judge tells the defendant, "You sound like a real queer right now."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the defendant goes, "Are you calling me a queer? Are you saying that I'm a queer?" And he goes, "No. Open your ears. I said you look like a queer." Done. This is no longer a courthouse.
Yeah, and as a judge, you've now crossed all lines. Like,
Right. All the
like
lines
this
that
guy
are
has to get out of
necessary.
jail for free, right? The bail hearing's over.
Right.
You get to leave.
Right. Done.
You know what? I think he would have probably gotten off and like had a very viable case to be off, and then he dropped the whole like "I'm gonna kill your family"
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, he
And
does
He probably
finish-
just screwed himself.
He
right
does
there.
finish really strong with "I'm gonna murder you and your family." I did forget about that. You're right. You're right.
This public defender tried to offer me sex for a bag of coffee. Like, what is happening?
It was
It's so great. But so we're watching Cops, back to that originally, and I realized how badly people just need like to at least know a little bit of the law.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
Because here's the scenario they were running. They were running this sting where the girl is an undercover cop and she pretends to be a prostitute, and she stops you on the street, and she stops you on the street and offers you. She's like, "So do you wanna fool around something? How about like a little?" And like she'll offer you something, but explicitly
a
state
little
it.
tug?
A little tug, a little love, a little
this is
mouth.
happening
Let's go make a
on
protein
Cops, yeah?
shake. I'm gonna make a
This is on
protein
the
shake.
episode of Cops. So she'll say it though, and
Would
she'll
you
be
like to swipe right?
and she'll be like, "So $20, $40," and so the guy will be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great," and then she'll be like, "Meet me around the corner," and when they pull around the corner, the cops pull you out of the car and arrest you. Well, at that point, you haven't actually committed a crime, because the First Amendment lets you say whatever you want to say, and you haven't committed a crime until an actual sexual act occurs.
Correct.
So for
They
me,
call it soliciting.
Right. But soliciting, I mean, you can technically solicit for anything in a public area, and you're not outside the realm of your legal right to do so.
But strictly speaking, that's not true. And the First Amendment doesn't protect people as much as sometimes they think it does.
Well, a lot of these child porn cases get off on the First Amendment. A lot of them.
But that often.
And the show's just gone political.
No, that's not political. That's just reality. Remember those Dateline 2020s where Chris Matthews would show up and pretend to be the guy, and the guy shows up with wine coolers and is like, "Oh, I'm just here to meet and hang out. I was gonna wait for her parents to come home with her," and like, so that's always the story. Well, a lot of those guys actually, legally speaking, they frequently get off. The cases are dismissed because the actual crime is possession of child pornography, which I guess in a lot of those instances doesn't happen. And then also the other real crime is, like what I'm talking about, is if you don't commit the sexual act with the money, you didn't actually do anything wrong. So these people keep getting arrested and going to court and having to deal with these kind of embarrassing situations.
I don't know that that's 100% true.
Well, yeah, because
I don't think it is, because you can't agree. You can't work with someone and agree to pay them to commit a crime for you.
but until
That's
a crime,
that's a crime. It's the same as if I said to you, in a strictly serious sense, I'll pay you $1,000 to kill my wife.
Whether you do it or not,
I have now looked into paying someone to
but
commit
they'd
a
have
crime
to
for
they'd
me.
have to prove the context of the conversation.
Right.
So
they would
so
have to
literally
prove,
they would have to
you're
prove
right,
that,
they would have
that
to
both
prove there
parties
was
were right.
They would have to prove there was intent behind it.
And that's what I'm
which
saying,
in this
is
case
like-
there clearly was.
No, because I just
His
met this,
intent clearly was.
I just met this
Because
woman.
there's no
How do I
question.
know?
We've gone political
How do I
here.
know when she
Yeah,
doesn't come
it's
behind the
too
house?
lost.
How do I know when she comes behind the house she's not just going to jump in the car and have me drive her
what
to
video
McDonald's?
games you been playing this week?
Not a whole lot, honestly.
I hate both of you. I hate both of you. I'm just saying it's not really a crime until something's actually, because they'd have to prove that you knew you were seriously negotiating, Because when the cop walks up and says, "You just solicited sex," I'd say, "I just met a stranger. I thought she was kidding. Is she really going to show up?"
I think you and I can agree to disagree on this because
I agree to
because
nothing.
Joey and Nico have no valid input or opinion on this for whatever reason.
Nah.
No. We just set it against it.
No, it's because Joey's got like 3 pending process. I'm just trying to help him out.
Yeah.
They're
I'm just trying to-
ill-informed.
I actually can't speak on this matter because I've got a couple court cases. coming
Right.
up.
And I was just trying to help him out.
Thanks, Corey.
No problem.
I have something I would like.
Life partners.
I have
yeah,
something
go ahead, man. We
I
got
would
time.
like to mention.
We got time.
A couple of episodes
Cut his
ago.
mic off.
Drop him.
Gone.
Go ahead.
Happening?
No.
A couple weeks ago, you talked about a terrible personality person that you really enjoy, these indignant debtors.
Yes.
And for sure, it made me think of, and I think this is a great thing to discuss with some sort of frequency. There is a personality type, a person even, that I loathe but enjoy to be around and watch them become miserable and uncomfortable.
Okay.
I travel a good deal for work. I have long international flights. I go all over the planet, and don't get me wrong, I'm very fortunate, but I love it more than probably anything in the world when people who clearly don't want to be sitting next to small children or babies on a plane are seated next to them. There is nothing makes me happier than the rage on their face when a baby or a kid starts to cry or
Oh my
whine, or
God.
even that they notice it. It makes me so happy, and I just wait for them to explode. Because you feel bad, right? Because no parent is going to take their kid on a 17-hour flight
Unless they
for
have
the
to.
hell of it, right?
Right.
Like, they're just as uncomfortable with their kid being annoying as you are. And so these people who get like livid with children or livid with parents with children, it cracks me right
It's
the
like
hell
they're
up.
the only people in the world.
It
But
cracks
that's like
me
a really
right the
patient
hell
view
up.
to take of it, because I actually feel the opposite. I agree that there's no good reason to put a kid on a plane, so when you're doing it, you obviously have to. I understand that part of it, but there can't be anything more frustrating than having nowhere to go while a kid is crying.
Right.
Like, your other option is to open the door and just let it be.
Go into the
Right.
bathroom,
Well, and,
maybe.
and you're right, and it is frustrating.
Just
and
sob
everybody
uncontrollably.
gets a little aggravated with a crying kid for sure.
Right, that's
But
why
these
they shake
people-
'em.
Well, these people who are like livid with these children and these families on planes, as though them being angry is going to in any way change the situation.
Yeah,
because
that's
it
true.
stuck in a
That's
cracks
true.
me
tube
the
10,000
hell up
feet
to
in
see
the
these
air.
people get so mad.
My
I
favorite
love it.
is, like-
I love it. I almost intentionally try, and I hope when I'm getting to sit next to people with kids, because it doesn't bother me in the slightest, and I just hope that I want somebody to sit next to them who really hates
So a
it.
flight attendant one time got me, and I think she was one of you. So I sit down on this flight leaving Atlanta, and next to me is a child traveling alone, and it's a small child. It's a 5-year-old kid, and they seat him on the chair next to me after I'm already seated. And I grabbed the flight attendant, and I was like, there's no one in first class. Like, there's not. I can see it. They haven't closed the blinds yet, and I'm like 3 rows up from it. So I was like, do you mind if I just go up to first class? Because, I don't want to sit next to a kid, especially one who doesn't have any parent, guardian, or anything.
Yeah, just a random kid on the plane.
Somehow it's going to become my responsibility to make sure this kid makes it to Atlanta, and that's not my gig. So the flight attendant kind of looks at me weird, looks at the kid, and then tells the kid, "Hey, do you want to sit in first class?" Holds his hand and takes him up to first class.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, obviously I know exactly why she did it, and I got it, but come on, man. Like, I paid for my ticket. He didn't pay for his. Like, that's messed up.
Yeah, but someone paid for his ticket. I don't know.
Someone did, but
like
he
he
didn't.
snuck onto the
I got a
plane,
job.
Yeah. It's not like he's a stowaway or anything.
Right,
Yeah.
but he's not a paying customer. I am.
I
Like,
really-
I want to be the one moved up to first class in that scenario.
I really like the idea of that kid ruining everybody else's first class.
Yeah.
flight. That makes me really
Do you think that's why she did it?
I went on
She's
a-
like, the 4 people up here now all hate me too.
I like it when you're. Well, I like it, but don't like it when you're in a public place and like kids are just being like animals and their parents aren't doing anything about it. They're just, oh, that's just how they are. So you remember the
Kids will
time
be
we were
kids.
at Wolfie's?
Yes.
So me and the DLG are at Wolfie's enjoying some
I'm
alcoholic
not proud of
beverages.
this. Actually, I am proud of this.
No, this is awesome. This is a great
I
story.
am proud of this.
And we're sitting at a table, and for some reason, there's like a baseball party or
Like a
something.
Little League
baseball
something.
party.
Yeah.
Like who has a little league baseball party at Wolfie's?
Wolfie's.
It's usually Chuck E. Cheese, but they're at Wolfie's, and they're just like running rampant around the little
Right, the
sports
whole
bar.
restaurant. They're
just
own it.
running. They're like running laps. And finally, Corey just like puts his arm out like soccer moms. This kid like, hey, where are your parents? Go find your parents and sit down. You're ruining my time. And it's
100% exactly the
just
tone
looks
in-
at Corey. It's like, and just slowly walks
You
over
said
to his
you're
parent.
ruining my time?
Yeah, I
He
told that kid
slowly
what's
walks
up.
over to his parent, sits down, and never moved again.
And Joey is dying laughing.
I'm laughing my
But I lost
butt
it
off.
because here's the thing. Here's my idea. When I spend my money, I want to experience a good time. I don't like the idea that I'm paying money so that someone else's terrible kids can ruin my experience. So that does drive me a little bit batty already. And then these kids were literally just wind sprints. They were just doing laps around the entire restaurant for 20 minutes at that point.
At least.
So
we were
finally-
probably 2 beers in, so
Yeah.
at least 15 minutes.
So finally, when I stopped this kid, I'm like, you go find your family and you go tell them you love them because next time I see you, it's over. Murder.
Done.
Yeah. So
Murder was that case that they gave me.
Thank you. So the kid walks off, but then all of a sudden, none of the other kids are now running by us because we've made the example. Like, I don't know if he told them or what, but now all of a sudden they've altered their sprint pattern, and I can now enjoy myself, and my money and my experience is worth it again.
Yeah, it was.
So basically,
glorious.
it just takes one kid, one
just takes
Yeah,
one
if you make,
sacrifice.
Nico, if you make an example, what I always give you these life lessons. Walk
Yes.
with confidence, just stroll through, no one will question it.
That
Exactly.
is fact.
And if you make
Factual.
a good enough example out of the first one, you'll never have to kill another
Just
kid.
own it, man. Just own it.
That's another piece of advice you can take with you forever.
For the rest of-
Disclaimer.
That's right.
We
For the
do
rest
not
of your
promote
life-
the
Actually
art
kill
of
children.
killing kids.
Nor
We
do I
promote
think
the art of
killing a
loving
kid
kids.
would be effective like you think it would be.
I mean-
we here at Nerd Thug Radio.
I mean, we don't need to get into a whole
love
philosophical
children.
discussion about it.
Please treat them with kindness and respect.
Yeah, whatever.
Easy.
Yeah.
Respect is earned.
Yeah, and that kid doesn't even have
And
a
there's
job.
not a lot that a kid can do to earn respect.
Except go back to his parents and sit down.
Except
That's right. He
That's
did
right.
It. He did it.
He did do it.
He earned
really
the respect
He
that
owned
day.
it.
He
He
did.
owned it. He owned it.
And the look on his
Straight
face, like I kind of felt bad immediately after it happened because the look on his face was like, "Oh, I've completely let down all of society." And I was like, "You're right, kid. You did."
I'm
You did.
sorry, you made this mistake.
do we say what my new nerdy tattoo was?
No, we
No,
didn't.
You just you didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
apparently.
You were
No,
talking
no,
about the
we-
shaving.
well, we
You
got-
just said,
we
"Yeah, I
got
got
s-
one. Okay, I'm done."
We got
Right.
sidetracked on the shaving. No, it's a Harry Potter tattoo, right? So now I have. This is my first tattoo that I've gotten in the States since college, right? So I have a Star Wars quote on my shoulder. I have Doctor Who on my other shoulder
Nice.
in Gallifreyan. And now I've got a Harry Potter tattoo on my arm.
Oh, nice.
So all I've got left now to complete my just full nerd ink transformation here is a Dune tattoo and a Discworld tattoo. So I'm thinking of getting an enormous sandworm on that starts at my lower back and then comes over my shoulder.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
So I feel like that'd be a good move.
Have you thought about just getting like the spice tattoos on your face?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What are the spice tattoos? What do you
Like
mean?
in the movie, some of the guys have like the spice tattoos. Like,
Oh, we're not going to talk about the movie.
oh man, I mean, it's part of the, it's canon, bro. It's canon.
How canon is it?
It was a
I mean, it's the
disaster.
only film of Dune. It's canon.
I don't know, man. I tell you about that. I went at,
Canon.
actually at Space City, where I don't know if anybody saw my sweet mystery box movie.
If you haven't, go to
pretty
the
good.
Facebook page, Nerd Thug Radio on Facebook.
I haven't seen
find
it actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
pretty
have
good on
you don't
there.
have
You were
the
there.
Facebook.
Oh, that's true. I don't.
You were there, so you really don't have to see it.
But
so.
right, I lived it. I lived it.
I was
no, but
there.
I was at a. I
Where
was
were
at
you
a,
that day?
I was at a panel at Space City, and they actually have this movie, and it's apparently like 4.5 hours long. And somebody took a bunch of like the original Dune movie found footage and like all like artist concepts and turned it into like a 4-hour Dune
yeah.
kind of movie.
Yeah, it uses like I haven't seen it, but I read about it.
It's
literally
apparently
takes
wildly hard to find.
it literally takes like sketches and puts
Right.
them into the movie and does voices over the sketches
Right,
and
because the
things like
movie
that.
was such a disaster.
It wasn't. I mean,
bet, huh?
It was a disaster.
It's,
Stop
that's
it.
sort of unfair to do because the books are incredibly complicated and they tried to make a feature film out of it. Like they took Mark Hamill, fresh off of Star Wars.
Not Mark Hamill. Incorrect.
Yeah, that's Mark
Right off
Hamill.
the bat,
That's Mark
incorrect.
Hamill.
You're
No,
so
it's Kyle MacLachlan. It's the guy from Sex and the City.
All right, guys, we gotta
Mark
wrap it up
Hamill's
here.
in Dune.
Agree to disagree.
While these guys argue,
Oh my
we're gonna take a break and we'll come back and we're gonna talk a little Harry Potter.
Harry
And,
Potter.
Me and Zach will argue a little bit more.
All right.
Lone Star Community Radio is FM. That's right. Set your radio dials and your button presets to Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1, coming in June of 2016. To celebrate this edition and the addition of video versions of our talk and music shows on YouTube, cable TV, and Our City TV, we are offering special sponsorships rates, which include free audio spots that are played throughout our broadcast. Interested? Check out our sponsor rates for shows just like the one you're listening to online at irlonestar.com/sponsor or call the station at 936-647-5747. Reaching the people of Montgomery County with Montgomery County's community radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Welcome back to Nerd Thug Radio. As always, I am the Captain Joey Savage, sitting here with my heterosexual life partner.
Cory DLG.
Producer of all producers, Nico DLG.
Hey,
Special guest with us today here, Zac Attack.
Hey.
Bada boom.
realest guys in the room.
There we go.
Oh, God, I
what'd you
hate
say?
that.
Realest
boom.
guys in the room.
It's a wrestling thing.
Yeah.
Bada boom.
You're
realest
better
guys
off.
in the room.
You're
How
better
you
off.
doing?
Yeah, so anyway,
You guys
find
are
us on
gonna
Facebook.
You guys are gonna get so sued.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Yeah. Facebook.com
Twitter.
/ Nerd Thug Radio. Hashtag Nerd Thug Radio on any social media website.
Or hashtag talking nerdy to you.
So
the number 2.
Yes.
number two.
number 2.
Number 2. So this segment we're going to get into a little bit of Harry Potter and the new book / play that came out. And Zach is sitting with us here because he's read the entire thing.
Now, just the way you said that,
Go ahead.
I'm going to guess you're not a big fan.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
Now, let's just be quite honest. I haven't read it.
So
I was
you
going
can't
to
be-
read
you
it.
Can't be the judge of this.
I was going to read it, and then I did all my research on it and found like the summary and the plot and this and this and that, and I made my judgment. I will never read this book.
Okay. Well, it's not really a book.
It's a play.
It's a play.
Where did you read this summary?
All over the thing that Al Gore invented called the internet.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Al Gore.
Thank you, Al Gore.
Thank you, Al Gore.
We
I
appreciate
read
it.
multiple articles about different places, different people. People who liked it, people who didn't like it.
What if we did
And
a
then I
reading
just
of it?
Made my own,
Not going to happen.
All right.
my own opinion.
Down. This has the potential to become an angry Zach situation as much as I don't want it to. Just
Yeah,
putting that out there.
I'm
Thank you, Bruce
I'm a pretty
Banner.
nice feller, so I'm not gonna like kill it. But Zach, you read the whole thing. We'll just let you go first. What did you think of the Cursed Child?
Okay. So let me.
He's already getting angry, and
No,
I
He's
literally
regrouping.
it's
I
not-
literally just asked him what'd you think,
No,
and
no.
he's like, oh.
It's not that I'm angry. I need to first give credit where credit's due. Corey and I have a.
DEFCON 4. DEFCON 4.
That's the lowest one.
That's why we're at
Yeah,
DEFCON 4.
we're starting.
You haven't
I don't
elevated
know
yet.
why they
Right.
have an alarm for what is known as the normal setting, but okay. So Corey and I have a friend.
3.
3 friends.
DEFCON 3.
Okay.
DEFCON 3
That,
friends?
that won't get old. Corey and I have a friend, Nadia, who I felt the same way about this as she does, and she articulated it so well. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm taking credit for something that she actually said.
No, if it's articulated, it's definitely not you.
Right,
And
no, we know
fair,
that.
That's
Fair enough,
accurate.
fair enough.
So what she said, and it makes a
DEFCON
lot
2.
of sense. She said that with the Deathly Hallows, there's closure, right? It's a close to Harry's story. Not only is it a close to his story, but it also jumps 19 years forward.
Little
and
epilogue, or
says-
prologue, epilogue, whichever you want to call it.
Epilogue.
Epilogue.
It's closure. I'm done with Harry. His story is written. I feel good about the way it ended, more or less. To say nothing of the fact that Harry Potter, named his kids in what a Harry Potter nerd would name their kids, but that's fine.
James Sirius is one, right?
Right.
And anyway, and so I had a lot of closure. So I wasn't gonna read The Cursed Child. Like I hadn't planned on it, and I'm weak at my core. I'm weak, and it.
Fair enough.
I had high hopes for it. I tried to stay away from reading anything about it. I was in England when it came out. I was in England when the play debuted in London. I wasn't in London, but I was in England. So I stayed away from it. Didn't buy it at the bookstore. It was like £20 at the train station when I got off the train.
Which
one
is
day.
heavy. That's very
I was going
heavy.
to say the same thing.
It's a heavy
Very
book.
heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we do
good.
like-
You guys are Anyway, but
I don't think he likes
how
our
many
jokes.
how many euros was it?
I don't know. But I broke
Because
down.
they don't do euros.
They didn't do
Boom,
Euros.
bada
They
boom.
didn't do yours before.
Realest guys in the room.
So okay. Anyway,
How was it in American dollars?
I did.
Right.
I did read it.
How many
And
pounds
I
of
read
American dollars
because-
would it be?
And I broke down and read it because I just reread. I reread all 7 of the original books in like 2 weeks. Like while I was traveling, I just reread them all on my Kindle, and
Fair
so
enough.
like I was,
on,
you were
on a
feeling
Harry
it.
Potter.
I was tweaking for some Harry
you were,
Potter.
you were
Right.
tweaking. You were shooting the Potter in the
And so
in the
I
arm.
read the story, and there's a lot that I didn't like, but the things that I didn't like about it were mechanical things about it. They weren't. I didn't dislike the story. I didn't dislike the writing style, and I have no doubt that the play itself is a very dynamic and a great play to watch. So my issues with, and I'll do what I've learned to call a compliment sandwich.
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
say something good
I like
about
my,
it.
I like my lettuce.
I'm gonna say
with
something
cheese
good about it,
and
and then I'm
ham.
gonna talk about a couple of the points that I didn't like, and then I'm
Okay.
gonna end this
Okay.
little piece of this with what I did like. So it's
Now,
a
are there chips on the side with this?
I think it's a
compliment
good.
sandwich?
I'm gonna just plow through you guys.
Sure.
I think it's a good.
He's gonna plow us.
I think it's a good
He
story.
did say that.
He's gonna plow.
I think it's
He's
a
gonna
good
plow
story.
right through us.
We might make him
You were
mad.
saying-
We haven't even really talked about the book.
DEFCON 2.
I think it's
God, dude.
it was a good story, and I like
False.
revisiting characters. I like the idea of the story and its structure, and whether or not you think the story was executed as well as it could have been.
Now, we've
from
said-
what,
we've
from
said
what
the
limited
words-
things you've read.
We've said the word story like 10 times. Real quick, give me the 3-sentence summary. What is the story?
Try to condense.
Harry
this.
Potter has a
Harry-
kid. He's the middle child. He goes to Hogwarts.
Joey hasn't read it.
He becomes the.
Joey hasn't
he
read it.
goes to House Slytherin.
Joey
They
hasn't
try
read
to
it.
bring Cedric Diggory back. They go back to the Triwizard Tournament.
Joey
Change some
hasn't read it.
things. Time ripple. Time travel. Fix the future. They have to try to fix it.
Also, Joey hasn't read it.
Fun.
Is
But
there a
that- but
DeLorean
is that
in this?
anywhere accurate?
No, there's no DeLorean.
It parts of it are accurate. It's the crux of
It's
the
accurate.
the crux of the story though is Albus Severus Potter, Harry's second son, is growing up in the shadow of his dad, and he's very much not a rebel, but very different than his father. He's in House Slytherin. He's good friends with Draco Malfoy's son.
Which he was very nervous and didn't want to be in Slytherin from the jump.
He doesn't have any friends, so it comes to find out he sees a way that he can not only set himself apart kind of from his father, but do something good.
He is
Do
a
good
middle
thing.
child of the family
So-
as well.
So they use time travel, and there's a whole piece about how time turners play a role, and then it does have a time travel ripple effect in it for sure.
I thought the time traveling device was like heavily
steal one.
regulated.
They
They were-
steal one from the.
they were all
Ministry of
destroyed.
Magic.
Right. So at the Battle of the Ministry of Magic, when they're in the room of or the Department of Mysteries, where all the time turners are kept, they're all destroyed. Right. And come to find out, one got remade. Another one was found. So it's a whole thing. Right.
So they break in and steal one.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Which
But I
is
haven't
very
read-
Harry Potter.
But I haven't read the book yet.
So I don't think. Right. Weird how you piece together. They got their hands on a time turner since you knew it was a time travel story.
But they broke in and stole it.
DEFCON 1.5.
Okay.
we go.
So like I said, I think the idea and the plot outline is a good idea for a story, and I think the play is probably excellent. Here's my issue with it. Number one, again, had closure. Everything besides that is mechanical. I don't like to read plays, whether that makes me uncultured swine or not.
No, I agree with you
love
on
to
that one.
go to the theater. I love to see a play. I don't
Very
like to
true.
read a play. And the reason I don't like to read a play is because I think when you read books, the characters have the time, or the author has the time and energy to develop the character, to express the good authors to express the emotions they're having, to make it clear how they got from point A to point C.
Right.
When you watch a play, it's the same thing.
But that's the director and the actors.
The
that have done
actors
that.
themselves bring the words to life.
Correct,
When you
correct.
read a play, you read stage direction, and it tells you Harry is pissed off. Well, okay, fine. I believe that Harry is pissed off, but there's no dialogue, there's no build-up, there's no internal narration that shows me how I got there.
Right.
So it's a big part of the reason I don't like to read a play. It was also very, very quick. It was I read it. I bought it on I bought it one morning at work and downloaded it on my Kindle, and I'd finished it by that afternoon.
You're
Like, I read it-
you're very quick and avid reader though. So let's
Fair
say
enough.
the normal person,
Fair enough.
maybe a week.
Fair enough. And when I say
Maybe a week.
a quick read, I don't necessarily mean that it doesn't take long to read. I mean that the action mounts and mounts and mounts and mounts and mounts and then climax and then resolution. It's a very not brief story, but there's no
There's
for
no
good-
like super extra stuff. It's very concise.
right. And that's because
Because it's a
and
play.
it is a play.
And they're going to bring it to life as opposed to a book.
Right.
You're doing
And if you
all
add
of
in
that
all
at
the
once.
extra stuff in a play,
Right,
it's
and
expensive.
so
and
that was a big part of my hesitation for reading it, because I knew it was going to be a play, and I don't expect the play to be any different than this was.
Right,
as
very
far as
true.
this was written for as a play, there's nothing that was bad in it as a play, right? But that was my major beef
Well,
with it.
and honestly, it sort of sounds like, and granted, I haven't read it, but plays typically are very character-based and character-driven, not necessarily action-driven. Now, maybe modern plays have changed, but I'm more of a classics guy when it comes to plays. Like, I think the oldest
Death of a
play I even
Salesman?
like is A Raisin in the Sun. And everything's, you don't have a lot of action. It's not like there's a lot of staged
A lot of
fights
talking
in plays.
and
It's
stuff,
character-based. It's an
a lot of
evolution
Star
of a
Trek
story.
based.
Right, exactly. That was wrong and rude, and you're sorry.
they can be action based, and whether or not this one is fine. And
It sounds like it's a movie attempt.
No, I disagree with that. I think it is probably a really good play, and I absolutely will see it when it eventually tours and comes here. Now, it's the reading of it, right? Like I when I read a story, I like to immerse myself in it. I don't need a ton of details to get into a story, but what I do need is a lot of internal character emotion, a lot of internal character development.
Okay.
And when you read a play, there's not that.
Correct.
It says this character is this way because we say so, and they leave it to the actor to make it happen on the stage.
Right.
So let's be frank. One of the reasons
Wait,
that
and then I have my last good point.
oh
Sorry.
here we go.
And I do like this compliment sandwich.
Sandwich.
I like that there is a revisiting of old characters, and there is a different perspective on some things, even like a different perspective on some of the characters, because it's from a different point of view. It's from an entirely different character, Harry's son. You get kind of a little bit different perspective on some things. It's a little more than teenage angst, like I hate my dad. You start to kind of not see Harry in a bad light, but see how it could be painful to not only be Harry as an adult, but to be Harry's kid. And so I
especially
did enjoy that
the
of it.
middle
So
son.
so from the sounds of it, it sounds like you just have difficulty with it just being a play and having to read it as a play.
well, yeah, you don't
Yes.
want to when you.
So-
And like
We'll
I said,
start
it's
here.
the mechanics of it that I had the biggest problem.
We'll start
and it's
here.
Sorry.
I was excited when I heard there was new writing coming, and then I found out it was going to be in play form. And me and DLG, we talked about this.
True.
And the difference in it being a play as a novel. And so I was already turned off by the idea from the jump. And then I found out that the story wasn't really originated by J.K. Rowling. It was from a fan who created it. She liked it. They collaborated together to create it. It was his idea. She liked it. They went with it. Okay. And last week on the show, we talked about my discern for the new NBC Universal deal that
Right.
they struck with Harry Potter. And I was thinking, oh, we're going to get new content, and it wasn't. And then after I read all this stuff, I came to the realization that for me at least, I don't, because of the closure, I don't need more of Harry Potter and his family and stuff. I want to know more about the world
And
of
that's
Harry
the thing.
Potter.
That's the thing I don't understand about all of this is they've created this massive world, and they stay parked in one place with one time with one
Right.
character.
And so, like, on Pottermore
But-
this
but
past
they-
week, I read the history of the United States, or the America School of Wizardry and Witchcraft. And after reading that, I was like, man, they should have elaborated on this. This is way more interesting than, because I got the closure from Harry Potter. Like, I'm good with that. Like,
So,
I don't care about.
Let me draw this analogy here and kind of put it in a different.
Just
in a
give me
different light.
more of the whole world.
Right. Okay. So in Marvel Comics, and DC Comics is guilty of this too. Almost everything happens in a couple of cities: Gotham, Metropolis, New York.
Right.
You know, sometimes DC
San
because the
Francisco.
president's there. San Francisco because the visual of the Golden Gate Bridge. And so
Or
everyone,
England, or
Right.
whatever.
It's always like the capitals and the things with big visual landmarks
Correct,
because it's a
correct.
visual medium. But when they do cool things is when they incorporate things you never thought about, like the other schools of
Right,
the other
right.
superhero academies when they did the
yeah. West Coast Avengers and
right
the,
when they did the Braddock School of Superheroes
Right.
and things like that, and you're like, oh man, there's
the stuff up in
there's
Canada.
there's other countries, there's
Alpha
other
Flight.
worlds,
Alpha
there's
Flight.
other
Beta Flight.
heroes.
Yeah.
And so then you start to realize there's an entire world there, and so there's more to it than just the X-Men. There's more to it than just Harry Potter. There's
Well,
more
and-
to it than just Terminator.
and I
they
get
could
that-
tell all these other stories, and instead they stay with the one thing.
But that's an enormous luxury that comic books have, right?
Well, but even this,
Well,
is-
even with J.K. Rowling, she's created Pottermore, the website, to give us more of the entire world the fictitious world she
right,
created.
and it always keeps rounding right
And it
back
just-
around to Harry Potter.
like, give us.
But
give
that's
us
not
more,
necessarily
but
true.
Because the story
it wasn't
itself,
until now.
This story is about
the story
Harry
itself
Potter.
is as old as time can be.
What?
You've got a hero kid who becomes an adult, has children. One of them becomes evilish to an extent,
That's way off the mark. in
or
this.
does something different than what their dad does. I mean, it's the same thing.
It's it definitely rings like a lot of the old
the prodigal son.
the old Greek tragedies and
Just
stuff.
give me something new. Like,
right.
Take the wizarding world and put it in the America and tell the story of how that school
Yeah,
became,
put-
or even Africa or China or wherever.
I think-
just expand the universe.
Right.
Kind
Tell-
of like what Star Wars is doing. They're expanding the Star Wars
Right,
universe.
so now we're going to start getting stories like the Rogue One story.
how
we're going to
Luke
get a
got to where
Boba
he
Fett
was.
story.
Or,
We're
you
going to
know,
get a young Han
Han
Solo.
Solo.
They're going to go other places now and tell other stories.
And I think that I think those are good ideas for the witchcraft and wizardry universe for sure. And I don't think it's going to necessarily not happen. I think though, and and
think you're
maybe I'm
judging
wrong.
Too hard on this one work.
No, this
Maybe
is
maybe my own opinion is
it's your
skewed.
opinion, so you're never wrong.
Well, and maybe my opinion is skewed here, but I think you guys have a bit of a misconception as to how much this story is about Harry.
No, it's not. What I'm saying is, when you tell this story and you have Harry Potter's kid and he makes friends with Drake Malfoy's kid, this whole thing is still about Harry Potter. You could have him
To an extent, I agree.
You could have him make friends with literally Joe Bob's kid. He could make friends with a kid from the African school and go on the same adventure and do something completely original, and there would be fewer Harry Potter ties. But the appeal is, and I think this is the mistake that happens in this world building concepts, is they feel like, oh, we got to throw in a little bit more Harry Potter so people stay in. Just enjoy the world you create. Like you could do like a Men in Black in Wizard and Wizardry, where there's a whole group of wizards whose job it is to make Muggles not realize there's magic.
That's a thing.
Right, and you could tell those.
That's already a thing.
Okay, but you could tell those stories.
Just so we're all clear, Corey did not come up with the idea of Obliviators. That is not
No,
him.
but what I'm saying is there are whole chapters in
Yeah, but also
worlds
you were
and
just praising Star Wars and how it was going out and expanding, but everything literally comes back to the same.
Right.
Luke Skywalker, Han
It's
Solo.
all
Well, I mean, he's dead
Vader.
now, but
It's all Vader and
no,
the
the story,
Empire.
but the story of Rogue One. I mean, yes, Darth Vader's in
no,
it, but
Darth Vader's.
Is it not about how the plans got stolen?
Yes.
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 So then, like, what are we talking about here?
because that's
'cause
something they
that
always
loops
just
back to where Luke Skywalker
No.
blows up the Death Star.
right, but it doesn't. It
That's
doesn't,
the end of that movie.
Right, but it doesn't directly involve Luke Skywalker at all. Like if Luke Skywalker
This
isn't it,
book has very little to do with Harry.
but that's not true. It has tons of Harry Potter elements to it. It has tons of
It's about a different character who's
right,
in
but
some
it,
way
but it's
related
also
to Harry Potter.
no, but it's
It's
also
his son.
It's his
who
son,
is
so
now,
there's a direct tie.
Who is now best friends with,
With
his
Drake
arch
Malfoy.
enemy's kid.
Right.
So
So,
it
Harry
ties it all
Potter and Drake
together.
Malfoy had a 7-book rivalry.
You know, if I had not read the history of the American Wizard, whatever school, I probably wouldn't be as big of a dislike to the new stuff. But reading that and just how talented J.K. Rowling is, and then coming back to the fact that this story is a collaboration with a fan who just loves Harry Potter, it
But
just.
then how are you gonna?
But why does that
discredit
make
the
it
fans?
less?
I don't know. It just does.
But why?
But
because by that logic,
because it's my humble but accurate opinion
humble is what
that it
you
is.
meant to
No,
say.
I said humble,
You said humble.
or I said humble. Silent H, positive H, however you want to do it. HIV, whatever.
I don't
But,
want that. I don't want
just,
that at all.
I don't know, man. I just.
But like by that logic, you have to discredit first every Star Wars movie that wasn't written by George Lucas. You have to discredit every Marvel comic that wasn't written by Stan Lee. You have to discredit Game of Thrones
I don't have
if
to.
George R. Martin dies.
I don't have to.
Well, I think if he does,
That
they're
guy's
not
so
gonna-
afraid he's gonna die. He gave the outline of this into the series to HBO in case
No,
he died before it's
that
done.
wasn't why. It was because the show wasn't going to stop. It's because HBO sat him down and said, "Listen, we put millions of dollars in your pocket. The show goes on next year, so you need to get with the producers. You need to talk to them about what's going to happen." That's basically where that was, and he knows where his bread is buttered, and he had that talk.
I think though that I don't know. It's a difficult thing to gauge. You can't gauge it. You can't put it on the same level as how comparing the other Harry Potter novels to it because it's not a novel.
Correct.
Right.
You can't compare it to the original story because it's not the original story. The original story is
It's-
done. It's
it's in
characters that people like and new characters that are in different situations. And also, like I said, one of the strengths of this is that it gives a different perspective on
on the
characters that
last
people
7
know.
books, which means it ties back to the
Not
last
a
7
big.
books.
It
That's-
does.
it
One
does.
thing is
It
for
does.
sure.
It's
One
time
thing
travel.
is for
They go back
certain.
in
It
time
does, yeah.
to
And
And
those.
there's one
yeah.
thing I know for sure with this play.
It seems like it's going in the wrong direction.
It's
already.
got us talking about it, and people have
Sure,
developed
for
opinions.
sure. But like I said, it's got a ton of it does its best to tell a new story while not ever going too far from Harry
And
Potter.
J.K. Rowling, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but she said, "Okay, I finished Harry Potter. I'm done with Harry Potter."
Now she said that.
Yeah,
That's a
and-
recent statement she made.
But then she's coming back and doing the play. Like, give us. I don't know. I guess for me, as a fan of the Potter universe, I want more. Now that I've read more of the other stuff and then seen this play, I want more of the universe, but I want it expanded. I want to know other stuff going on. I don't want.
I do too. And
I don't want any more of the Potter story.
And I like that-
I completed it. You know, like,
And I'm with
I got
you,
closure.
And I'm with you on that. Like I want to know more about it as well. That doesn't mean though that I'm averse to having other stories told from different perspectives about Harry or different
I just-
But
I-
I think
no, I think I am.
I
I
think
think
at this point I'm probably done with it. I don't think there's much more that they can do with Harry Potter.
I don't know. He's got
family.
3 kids, right? So what if one more of them?
Right, and I think that at that point, the only thing I would continue to read about Harry is if when they novelize this play, because I feel certain that it will.
I would just much rather
That's what I
have
would
just
read.
read
Yeah.
more stories about Harry and not his kids.
Well, and how about I think another one of the mistakes that hurts this is it's a continuation of a story, but in a completely different media. It's like
That's a hard thing to do.
it's like they were releasing.
It's hard to transition between those two different things. But I mean that happens with like adaptations between like books and movies all the time.
Well, but adaptations are different. This is literally, these all
you're
started
bringing
as
it into
books.
another form. But I'm saying
Right.
like if this was a book, it'd be completely different than like how Zach would probably really enjoy it if it was just a novel instead.
You know
of
what?
a
No,
book.
And that's
you know what?
That's actually what I'm getting at. Is
Quite frankly, I might have enjoyed it. I might have decided to read it if it was a novel.
right, and that's what I'm saying is they literally. So
It's a hard thing to cross media across the same series.
Exactly.
It's a very hard thing
So
to do.
you did 7 books. As books,
But this
and
isn't.
now
But
is-
this isn't Rowling. This is someone else,
She-
and then with help from Rowling.
She
It's-
collaborated with him.
right.
yeah.
But
But
it could be somewhat
she
different,
enjoyed
but
his
it's-
idea enough.
that part to me, and I'm with Corey on this. That part to me matters less.
Right.
He's absolutely right. It's hard to cross media.
It's gotta
Doctor
stay in
Who
the same
does
media.
it. There's a ton of Doctor Who books, right? And Doctor Who is and always has been a TV show. There's a ton of Doctor Who books, and I've read a few of them, and they're not bad books, but it's not the same as watching the
Right.
show.
right,
For
and
good or
that's the
bad.
thing.
And I love to read.
And it's the same thing when people
It's a hard thing to
read
do.
book series and they watch the movie. Like, oh, the books are so much better.
Right.
Like, it is what it is.
And especially it's hard when you're absolutely when it's on the same timeline, same core set of characters, same generational characters. It's even harder, right?
And it's not even.
It's
It's
not
not even
like-
been that long of time. Like it's not like we're
been
in
15 years.
Right. It's not 20 years later we're releasing a 9th movie. It's been 10 years, and now we're doing a sequel to the story, but it's not going to be a book.
I like, and I'll go back to it. I like Harry Potter. I don't dislike the play. It's by no means my favorite. Even the story is by no means my favorite of all the books, not by a long shot. But I think it has enough to offer that I don't regret reading it
But
as
you
much
probably
as I
would've loved it.
probably thought I would.
You probably would have liked it a lot more as a book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's a mechanics
Most
thing.
def.
Right.
That's a mechanics thing.
Avada-kedavra!
And that's a
What was
That's
that?
a mechanics thing,
I'm
though. Like I
scared.
said, and I cannot say for sure that someone who enjoys reading plays wouldn't have enjoyed this as much as reading the book.
I
Right.
want to read this play now.
You should, because you love plays.
I
do
do
love
love plays.
Mr. Hamlet.
It's a well-written play, like I said, and it's because it's the rehearsal copy, the dress rehearsal copy. Like there's a lot of additional, I think, stage direction I have not usually seen in plays before. So it does help with that. It's just.
Well, I think it's always better when you read it with like other people. I don't know why. Just group
Maybe we
reading
should
the
just do a
plays.
reading.
Because
and
you're not
sit
reading
down.
It's
it,
not
right?
gonna happen.
You're
Acting
acting
it.
it.
not gonna
Yeah.
happen.
You can be Harry.
Not interested.
Sure, you sure.
You could just be
You
like
can be Malfoy's kid.
upset Harry.
Like
We
I
for
would-
sure don't have. I say we. This organization, this Nerd Thug Radio, does not have the money to perform Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on your podcast.
Right.
We could probably pull it off. We are recording next to
Hey,
Creighton
I
Theater.
played Brutus and Hamlet, so I'm ready.
Oh,
In the same
quite,
play, what shit show was that?
No,
Yeah.
two different ones.
Oh,
quite the
Two
resume.
different ones.
We've
That's
got a
great.
Brutus and a Hamlet.
Oh,
Oh,
bada boom.
oh.
I like it.
I played Godot and Waiting for Godot.
Did you?
No,
Okay, that's very
No,
good.
I lied.
no, it didn't happen.
are you interested in reading stuff from the Harry Potter universe that isn't written by Rowling?
I'm not sure yet.
Go to fanfiction.net.
That's a
I'm
loaded question.
That's a different thing, though. Fan fiction is way different than canon.
kidding. I know. I was just saying with extra
Pottermore
stuff.
legitimately is canon. Correct?
Pottermore's
The website
canon.
is
Pottermore
canon.
is
It's
canon.
all canon.
It's
Man,
canon.
that's the thing where J.K. Rowling has really been smart about this. Is she could really guide this into a franchise where she like kind of just becomes the producer of it.
Oh, she
and-
plays it up, man, and like she releases stuff on like Twitter. I mean, she is so into her fans.
I was sorted into Gryffindor and have a 14-inch wand.
That's pretty awesome.
We're gonna leave it right there. I don't
Yeah,
even want to. I'm
just
not
end
even
it right
gonna.
now.
Nerd Thug Radio. We come back. Weekly top 3. Joey Savage here. Thanks for checking out our archives for Nerd Thug Radio. Don't forget, we are live on Lone Star Community Radio every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. If you have any questions, just reach on out to us. Facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio, or you can follow me on Instagram, Joey.Savage15. This is where it gets good right here.
Do the dishes.
See, seriously, like
Do the
yeah,
dishes.
Just a bunch of chores.
Do the dishes.
Welcome back, guys, to Nerd Thug Radio. I am the Captain Joey Savage with,
Cory DLG.
as always, the producer Nico DLG.
Hey, guys.
And the not-so-special guest today, Zac Attack.
Did he lose his special status by segment 3?
Sounded different.
Hey,
It was on a timer.
On a timer. Yeah.
It's
The
a
special part's over.
time
You
limit.
guys can find us on Facebook.com/NerdThugRadio. And for the first time this Saturday, we're going to be at Space Cadets Collection, their con, their own in-store con. We will be there with our own little booth. Corey will be signing babies' heads.
Signing babies' heads.
And we got some shirts.
And breasticles.
Yep, we got
Bring
some
the
T-shirts
breasticles.
out there.
what's the date?
It's August 27th, this Saturday.
It's coming Saturday.
right before I start school.
Right before you start school. We'll be there all day.
Ooh.
Well, probably not all day. We'll probably kick out around after lunchtime. But they got a lot of stuff going on. There's a cosplay contest going on. There's a Super Smash Brothers video game tournament going on.
What? Nico, are you entered in that?
It's a lot
No,
of good
I
stuff.
have to brush up on my Smash skills.
Speaking of
You
this-
enter that.
Yeah, speaking of
Okay.
the video game stuff. So last week I did a guest spot on the Audio Otter podcast.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, go on.
You can find the Audio Otter on SoundCloud. It's going to be their third episode. But there's some big video game guys, and they're probably going to enter into this tournament. So
Oh.
Are they
Nico,
going in?
they're
I'll-
gonna
I'll meet up with them.
Nico, we need a Nerd Thug Radio present. It's a $5 entry fee, and I believe all proceeds are going to
Can I borrow $3?
benefit cancer or something of that
No,
nature.
benefit the fight of cancer.
Yeah, that too.
We gotta. You
I
want
think
to
we
clarify?
should be benefiting cancer.
Right. That's why it's
It's benefiting
benefiting
the fight of cancer.
Right.
Cancer's doing okay.
Right. Cancer's winning a lot of the time. So
So check that out.
know that-
Check their Facebook page out, Space Cadets Collection, to learn more information about their con.
What's the video game?
Super Smash Brothers.
Is it the
it's
new
all
one?
like the Nintendo icon characters all fighting against each other.
Yeah,
So
like-
like
yeah, like-
Zelda and Mario. And
So
Kirby.
famously
Just
at
killing each
Comic Palooza, Corey lost 3
Famously.
matches in a row to little Sadie Savage.
Whoa, no. I went 1 and 2 against Sadie.
I don't think you beat her at all, did
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I was Kirby, and I sucked
Okay.
her, and I blew her off the edge like 10 times.
you? Wow, you just said sucked her and blew her off to my 7-year-old daughter.
Well,
Those are fighting words.
I was
Wrapping it up.
really
So
good at it.
this segment is segment 3 of the show. We are going into our weekly top 3.
weekly top 3.
So this week on the weekly top 3, we are going to be discussing our 3 favorite female comic book characters.
Ooh.
Does anybody want to volunteer tribute and go first? Usually we like to go with the worst picks first. So,
So
Nico,
it's usually Nico.
Nico
right?
DLG, what's your number 3?
You guys didn't even tell me this before we started recording. So
They're
I
usually
had-
pretty bad.
Right.
Usually
right.
no. I have 0 plans.
That's cool. Pick one. Go.
Is this time any
5.
different?
Gwenpool.
No, this-
Gwenpool. Gwenpool's going to be his 3rd favorite
Why would you guys do this to him?
because
It's funnier this way.
Yeah.
you know why? We're trying to teach him the art of communication.
Right.
And he
Yeah,
does
this
not
is the
communicate
way
with
I
us.
He
Yeah.
doesn't
During the
return
week?
texts or
Nope,
phone
so-
calls at all during the week.
So we banish him by
I've known about this for literally a month.
Yeah.
Right.
But you return text.
I have so many revisions,
Oh boy.
Yeah.
and they just
Oh,
threw it
boy.
in your
So
face.
Gwenpool.
Gwenpool, you know what's funny about Gwenpool is I didn't think it was a real character. I thought it was like a variant cover thing.
Yeah, no.
And then it turns out she's real. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. I didn't actually know that it was a real thing.
Deadpool's like turned into like the Spider-Verse, where there's just like multiple versions of.
Well, there's also like the Deadpool core now, where there's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he just
very
like hires a like
So, like,
slapstick,
the Green
slapstick's
Lantern.
a part of it, and that's like super weird.
Oh, I always thought that was just a bit on the covers.
No,
Right. No, and it
it's
turns
an
out that's a
actual
real thing. Yeah. I thought the same thing you did. I'm not gonna lie.
I like Deadpool. That seems kind of campy.
That's sort of his
Kind of
bit
the
now.
point.
Like
we're just
now,
gonna go,
he's embraced the cheese.
Yeah, we're just gonna go clockwise here. DLG, you want to give us your 3rd?
Yeah. So my 3rd, she's a favorite because she's created all these big events, not because of necessarily I like her as a character.
Jean Grey.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, man.
That's a good one.
Scarlet
was-
Witch. She's been responsible for some of the biggest
Really?
stories in the past 10 years.
House of M.
Yeah.
House of
One
M.
of my favorite storylines.
But the Avengers Disassembled line.
Yep.
Also, she plays a relevant part in a lot of other bigger, the bigger stories. Anytime they need some, like a Deus Ex Machina, as you kind of mentioned
Right.
off the air a minute ago, anytime they need one of those, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Because
She-
her power
she
is
just-
so broad.
Right. And so, House of M being one of the most
It's
BA
one of my favorite
comic
storylines.
books.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was such a cool thing because it had been so long since Age of Apocalypse, and they kind of just sprung it on you, House of M, and it was a really different
Because there wasn't
It was
really
so
like
wildly different than Age of
Exactly.
Apocalypse.
and there wasn't really a big X-Men type like storyline
Right.
at the time, and then boom,
And then boom.
shocker.
And then also the revelation coming out of it that Scarlet Witch has decided mutants are part of the problem. No more mutants. and then all of a
No more
sudden,
mutants.
from thousands of mutants to roughly 200.
it was just-
and it gets really, really dark for her and Pietro and Magneto, right? Like it's like, what the hell is going on here? Like it was a big deal.
It was cool because I mean, you have those thoughts in all the comics, like what if mutants ruled the world, and you always think about it. And here was the storyline.
Here was the storyline, and it was a
Gave you a
utopia.
glimpse of that. Yeah,
It
gave
was
you
a great
glimpse.
utopia. How cool was it, like, to see, like, so literally the House of M ruled America, and then, like, Namor showed up with his royal line,
Right.
and Sue Storm is his bride. Doctor Doom shows up representing Latveria. Like, it was so weird to see, like, kind of this odd.
And they all played to Magneto.
All right.
House of Magnus.
It was just kind of a neat idea that these world beaters succeed, and it makes the world a better place.
And you see like Wolverine and Mystique running like the special forces out and stuff.
And it was neat to see them as like still like leaders or dynamic presences on the world stage, but in a
Right.
political role. That's
Exactly.
such a weird, strange thing to wrap your head around when you think about Doctor Doom and Namor and Magneto.
What
and
would it be
stuff.
like with it if they actually were able to
Yeah.
rule?
Rule the world.
Yeah.
And it was all caused by Corey's number 3 pick, the
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I'd
So
take
Zach, let's go
Scarlet
to you.
Witch.
Number 3.
Actually, Scarlet Witch is one of my 2 honorable mentions.
This is my favorite
so
thing
it's-
when
no.
we bring Zach on for
No, I-
top
There's a
3.
top
He's
three,
always got
got,
like,
like 12
like earlier in the
options.
week.
All right.
Earlier in the week, he was like, "I've got 7 guys."
All right.
Well, it's a top 3.
All right.
But I love your honorable mentions.
All right.
It's your niche.
I've been on 1 top 3, and I had 2 ties. It's not like I had 10 for the
You've
top
been
so you
on.
had- you had-
This is your
I had
third.
5.
This is
You
your
had 5 for a
third
top 3.
third episode.
This is my second top 3.
And this is the third time we've done an episodic where you get to choose 3 things. Because the first one we did the
Netflix
the
stuff.
Netflix shows.
And you had like 8 honorable
Yeah,
I've got
that
10
was a whole segment.
I've got 15. Well,
I
this is
felt
a
like
whole
that
segment.
wasn't
That was
as
too.
actually
strict.
2 segments.
This is a whole segment
All
here
right.
as well.
I feel like that wasn't as strict on the guidelines. You guys didn't give me enough information before we started.
I'm
on
pretty
that.
sure we gave you lots of information.
All right.
Hey, I was only a judge.
So-
I wasn't even part of that one.
Look how far you've come, Nico
So-
DLG.
I know, right?
Okay, so in an effort to minimize my top 3 list to actually 3,
Thank you.
I've imposed some of my own rules. This time. So there's a ton. There are just a ton of characters like from your big comic books from DC and Marvel, right? Like I could name like Scarlet Witch, Jean Grey, Storm, Rogue. Like these.
There goes my top 3.
Well, and these are big, dynamic, huge characters, and they're good characters. But so I went kind of in a different direction. I said, what are my top 3 non-Marvel, non-DC women
Okay.
characters? Right.
I've done this as well when we do these things, so I like
just,
it. I like where you're going.
It helps to kind of, and I also think
Different
that some of the
perspective.
independent books have a little more character development that isn't quite so heavy in superpower backstory and superpower issues.
I have a theory about why that is.
Fair enough. We'll come around to it.
All right.
Segment 4.
So my number 3 is from a book, and it's a one-shot graphic. It's called I Killed Giants.
Love it. Love it.
It's
Love it or leave it.
the character lead, and
Swipe right.
her name is Barbara Thorson, and she's a young kid. I want to say she's between like 8 and 12.
Somewhere in that range.
And the reason that I like her so much as a character is that it's such a huge, it's a big story, and it's a great story, and it's written so well from a child's point of view, so much so that you're not 100% sure if what is happening is only happening in the child's mind,
Right.
or if it's actually happening, and she's coping with
100%.
it. And so her as a character is integral to it. My issue with when anyone does things like top 3 or top 5 favorite, and they specify sex or they specify race, that becomes a limiting factor, I think, in this list. But what I like about this story is that it's written so well, and this young girl character is written so well, and the dynamics of the story are such that it's not even a focal point of the story that she is a woman.
Right.
She's an unbelievably strong and unique and dynamic character, and in no way does that have anything to do with her sex,
Right.
which I think is phenomenal for this. So
Also, thinking back now about that book, and this is just off the top of my head here, I think
Yep.
all the characters in the story are female.
right. Which is an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to read because it also I think it's another step towards making the fact that they're female completely irrelevant.
Yeah,
It has no bearing on anything in the story. They don't. It's not a comic book for girls in that boys look stupid. It's not a comic book for boys in that girls can be awesome like boys can. It's a story about a strong, interesting character who has a unique story that's very, very dynamic and thrilling. I said
Right.
dynamic like 9 times. I
That's
apologize.
cool, man. No,
it was
go right
it was
for
quite the
Own
dynamic
it.
story.
Own it.
So that's my number 3.
So my number 3, in honor of Sadie Savage's 8th birthday that just happened, I went with her top 3. And her number 3 is the character Bumblebee from DC, specifically the Young Justice TV show version of Bumblebee.
She's essentially a teen version of the Wasp, but black.
Right. And she starts as a cheerleader. I think is kind of what drew her to the character.
Right.
And she's dating one of another superpowered being or whatever. And
The Super Boys.
and so
The Super Boys.
I don't know. We just let them. We just let them do stuff.
let 'em
I
talk.
don't. It was what they are.
We let
The
'em talk.
Super Boys.
The super
Any
boys.
of the superpowered boys in the group.
Super boys.
Is that one character?
What are
So
we
anyways,
doing?
so
This is
Bumblebee.
a fruitless conversation.
I don't understand what happened.
I don't know.
Well, you
what
guys
he's
were
saying,
like
and I
just
can't-
thrown
I
off
can't
by
come
Nico
of it.
with Nico's great commentary, and you guys just didn't know what to do with it. He dropped a mic bomb on you, pipe bomb, boom. So Nico, let's jump to your number 2.
I don't have a number 2. All right.
Wait, that's it? That's all you've got on Bumblebee?
Yeah, I mean we got 4 of us going here today, and
We got plenty of time.
we got
It's like-
plenty of
it's like
time.
12 people.
He likes that she's black. Moving on.
Usually,
Next character,
we talk our number 2 and number 3 for about 15 20 minutes,
And then we just have to yell our
we have
number
to
one
yell,
as we
my
go
number
out.
1 is this.
Like
My number 1 is this.
dragging you out of the studio. My number 1 is Superman!
Yeah.
It's like last second shot of the game.
Yeah. So
Nico, you have no number 2.
No, I actually do. It's actually Supergirl.
Supergirl. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Very cool.
all right.
I liked the Red Daughter of Krypton. That was a pretty fun story.
Red Data of Krypton.
So do you just like Supergirl in that story?
I mean, that's the one I read. So
I've read one comic book of Supergirl, so now she's my number 2.
Yeah,
and that's
basically.
usually why he goes first, because his are the worst.
Right.
So
That
Corey,
is accurate. You need to broaden your horizons.
Corey, number 2,
well,
go.
yeah, but that takes time.
Corey, number 2, go.
Would you have? Hang on a second.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
be
listen,
clear.
listen. He
It's not
spends-
like you have. It's not like you're rushing anywhere because you don't drive.
Right.
He spends a lot of time sleeping.
And playing video games.
Yeah.
Because when you say
haven't
you
played
don't
a
have
video
time,
game in,
you
like-
have buku time.
Boku.
You literally are for many hours a day trapped in a home with no way to leave.
I don't
And you
necessarily.
still don't finish any of the things you're supposed to
I
do.
don't necessarily believe that you have a ton of time. I would just like you to, in 2 sentences or less, enlighten us as to what is eating up these times.
So what'd you do this week?
Eating, sleeping, video gaming.
Actually,
A little bit of Netflix.
I haven't watched anything on Netflix.
Okay.
The only game I played was on my phone. Although that does take up a lot of my time.
Building-
You're telling us all
build-
the things that aren't eating up your
Building
time.
Gundams.
Right.
I did that once, and that was like 2 weeks ago. Let's see what else.
What'd you do this
Sleeping.
week? What'd you do this week?
Register for school. Go to
That took 3
orientation.
days.
Read
Right.
something other than Supergirl, Red Daughter of Krypton.
Fair.
All right. Moving
Corey,
right
you're
along.
number 2.
We'll move on.
Corey,
we'll
you're
move
number
on. We'll move on. Wonder Woman.
That's a good one. You've always been a big fan.
I have. I really like the character a lot. To me, what's very cool about her is she's never tried to be one of the boys. She just comes in and says, "Hey, I'm Wonder Woman. This is what I do," and it's good enough to be one of the main 3 in DC Comics.
Hear me roar.
She doesn't even have to do the Katy Perry bit. Like she
No,
just
she
shows
doesn't.
up and she's like, "What do you mean? Am I not supposed to be this awesome?"
Right.
Like it's very underplayed. It's very downplayed, and the idea that she stands toe to toe to 2 of like one of the most powerful people in the entire universe, and then one of the most important superheroes in all of history, and she stands
very
right
true.
right between the 2 of them, and it doesn't look weird. It doesn't feel out
she
of place.
fits.
Yeah, it works.
Here's my issue with Wonder Woman and the idea of her being a strong female character. Everything about her is tied up in the fact that she is a woman.
Well, her origins
It's-
being Amazonian, that's going to be part of the issue.
That's what I'm saying, though. That to me weakens her as a character. It
boy.
pigeonholes her.
Your opinion's wrong.
No, I'm just, I'm
I
saying.
mean,
Corey,
no, I get what you're
What
saying.
a crappy pick for number
No,
2.
no, I was just saying that. I'm saying that's why Wonder Woman isn't my number.
I get what you're saying, but like
Nice.
in modern comics, the origin is the same, but like she doesn't, like she's not like, hey, girl time, girl power, hey, but it becomes the battle cry of her fans. Yes, that it's so awesome that she's a woman and is
She's
like
this
Superman.
strong. She can keep up with Superman. She
Right.
keeps up with Batman.
And I guess I really
it does
kind of just
empower
did
women.
the same thing, but to me, it's always been that way for her. And so, like, there's been a lot of cool moments in the comic books where she's the last one standing.
Yep.
Or she's the one who actually fought Superman toe to toe in the god awful DC comics when they were going through all their building up to Crisis, when Superman was mind controlled,
Right.
and Wonder Woman had to kill Maxwell Lord to to prevent Superman from killing someone.
And even in the Flashpoint paradox, she's going toe to toe with
Aquaman,
They're
and wins, and then the world ends.
Yeah.
But she wins. But she wins. So she beats Aquaman, and she goes toe
She
to
also
toe
kills
with
children,
Superman.
but that's aside from the point.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Those are the Shazam kids. They don't count.
I don't.
There are a bunch of crippled kids that fuse into Shazam.
That's
That's
true.
their own fault. That's their own fault for trying to stand up for
And she
themselves.
does kill
I'm just
them.
kidding.
That's wildly dark.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you that Wonder Woman's a badass character, and as she is a badass character, right? There's no denying that.
Right.
My struggle with her as a female character is that I think the mark of a good female character is when it doesn't have to be a female for it to be a strong character. And my go-to on that is Thor. Thor is now a woman. In no way is Thor, and obviously Thor's personality changed. Thor is the woman now, but the character of Thor is not dependent on sex. And I think Wonder Woman's
He who is
identity
worthy.
being Wonder Woman is written in such a way that her identity is tied up in her sex, and that's not strength of a female character to me.
True. The origin.
Her
the origin,
within the universe is unreal. Like, you're
Right.
absolutely right. She's a total badass, but she's not written in a way that makes her a strong character.
Right. The origin of her is what weakens her, but they've come so far from that. Is kind of where I'm
And that's
at with
valid. I don't read Wonder Woman comics. I haven't read a DC comic probably in 10 years, so.
Ooh,
Very nice. With that, what's
picked his
your
side.
number 2?
Right. My number 2, and this was a tough choice actually between Barbara Thorson from I Kill Giants and what actually ended up being my number 2, and it actually just shook down on volume of stories. My number 2, and again only from independent, non-Marvel, non-DC stuff, is from Image Comics Powers series,
Nice.
Dina Pilgrim.
it. Okay. All right. I like that.
I like her because she's damaged big time. Like, she's not only damaged, like, in that she's like kind of
Damage.
in early on in the story, she's trying to figure out what it means to be a cop, not what it means to be a cop, but what it means to be on the squad she's on, trying to figure stuff, not only herself out and her place with her partner, but then she gets kidnapped and almost, like, I don't know, some dark shit happened. And then she developed these powers and she kills a guy, and she has a rich history, and she's partnered with she has a male partner who also has his own rich, like, history and stuff going on, but in no way does his storyline detract from hers, so much so that when she leaves the force, when she stops being a cop in Chicago who investigates superpower crime,
Right.
when she goes to the FBI, that could easily have been another series.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I like her as a female character, and I like a damaged character. I like a character who really gets really close and often crosses that line between good and bad, in what you hope is the pursuit of good, but often ends up being self-serving. So I don't know. I dig her, and I dig the story. Like, I dig the Powers.
Yeah, it's a
The
great
Powers
story.
universe is really cool.
Really
Right.
awesome stuff.
They sort of vastly underperformed as a show on the PlayStation Network, and it wasn't very. I watched the first few episodes and it was pretty terrible.
I got like 4 episodes in, and I stopped, and I still haven't gone back to it.
Right.
I totally
And they're
forgot
coming
that
out
was
with a
thing.
second
I
season.
did too.
But that's
Which
it.
is weird.
That's it. No, the second season's already out, and
Is
then
it?
that's it. They're done.
And
Yeah.
it's weird because, like, it seems like this is the kind of story that would lend itself well to a TV show.
And it should have, except
Each
It was in
almost
the
like,
works for years. And
It's
then
like each trade is almost a
Never
standalone
found a home.
season, almost.
and they just got stuck. They just got stuck in development. That just goes to show how messy TV is. That these things that seem to be perfect fits somehow never make it, and then when they do make it, they just don't turn out well.
they try to shove it all in there.
Right.
Cram a bunch of information in.
Well,
pretty
no,
quickly.
and I think what you got, like the pilot for Powers, was so different than the first trade of Powers that you felt kind of insulted. Like, I was sort of like, what? Why?
But I wonder.
Which can go either way, because Preacher, the show for Preacher, is vastly different from the graphic novels and the comics.
But it showed such
But it
skill.
worked.
It was so good.
Right, but it
Well, it's
worked.
like Lucifer, right?
So yeah, it can go either way, just depending on. I guess it depends on who writes it and just what happens.
Just
It's
how
almost
it's
like a
made.
crapshoot. You know what I mean?
I think
I think it depends on who works on it, honestly.
Well, I think
Like,
how much input they give, because like
Yeah.
the thing with Powers that they kept going back to is they recast several roles from when they tested it to when they aired it. So that means there was a ton of feedback that played a role in their decision making process.
Was it live action?
Yeah. And it also means that there was a ton of feedback from like the producers,
Right.
who may or may not have been the right people to
Exactly.
I mean,
That's what it comes down to.
And it gets hung sometimes, right? You get hung on am I making a comic book TV show, or am I taking elements from a comic book and setting it in a comic book universe, but telling a different story?
Right, and that's one of the
And
things
you need to, and I think you need to commit one way or another. And it's very easy for me to say this. I've never had to produce a TV
Right.
show.
Yeah.
But
But I
like,
think if
I
you
agree with
commit
you.
one way or
I
another-
agree with you, and I get so frustrated with people who want to compare TV shows to books, movies to books. It's two different medias.
Right.
It can't be verbatim. You've got to take certain elements and
You
you've
gotta
got to
take what
change them.
works and you gotta
gotta
find-
change them for whatever
Right.
media you're using.
What becomes frustrating, I think, as a book reader, and I'm for sure a TV watcher, it becomes frustrating when they try so hard to do it exactly the same, but have to cut things. It's like they fall into that middle trap. If a movie commits fully in one direction, or a TV show commits fully in one direction,
Stick with it.
and the book is in a different direction, that's okay with me. Like it's
Like they
it
tried
goes-
something different.
It goes back to the idea of telling a different story or from a
Right.
different perspective with the same character, and I'm okay with that. It's that weird middle place where like, well, we're trying to get it right, but we don't think
That's-
we can.
that's what
quite
I
do it.
And I
find
think that's
that-
where Suicide Squad landed. And I think that's why it landed so flat, is because it tried so hard to do both,
Right.
be its own story and be the comic books. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I think that's where Suicide Squad fell flat as a movie.
Yet it's
now
still
monetary,
made tons of
it's
money.
crushing it. It
Yep.
really is.
Made enough money where it'll keep the franchise going at least.
Well, and it just goes to show that when you put these Hollywood icons in these roles, people are gonna watch it.
Right,
People,
definitely.
Yeah.
superheroes and Hollywood icons, they're gonna watch it. They're
So
gonna watch
speaking of Suicide Squad, that's gonna drop me into my number 2, or Sadie Savage's number 2, and that's gonna be Harley Quinn.
it. There you go.
Harlequin.
So,
Is it
we've-
Harley Quinn or the Harlequin?
It's Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
No, I'm saying is which one?
It's Harley Quinn.
Okay,
so
perfect.
stop it over there. Stop it.
I don't know. We gave him a microphone a few months back. We've been
Hey,
experimenting with
I've
it.
had
we
this
talked
the whole
about this.
time.
We talked about this a few episodes ago with Sour
guy.
Bunny, to where she has become probably the hottest and most popular comic book character.
She's right now the fire.
She
But
is.
why?
She's the fire.
I think there's
Are they telling good stories with her?
Well,
Like,
they're
and
doing-
again, I don't read DC.
It's not necessarily even just the.
I think it's
um,
exposure.
It's not even necessarily just the comics. I think it's just the character that she is.
people love to cosplay her.
Right.
There's,
She's
like,
there's
it's
an
the
element.
it's the Deadpool effect almost, where
The female fandom has latched onto her as sort of like their spirit animal almost is Harley Quinn.
Which makes no sense to me. She is a brain damaged airhead in an abusive relationship.
Well,
with a
now-
lunatic
and-
child.
I don't know, that kind of that's sort of women in a nutshell.
but in the comics and stuff,
Nope.
like she's
I do not.
come away from. She's
Come on.
come a long way from being like
the
latched on
Joker's
Joker.
girl, yeah.
She's become her own entity. She's got her own comic out.
But
She
she's
leads her own
always
squad.
been Zach's right. She's always been kind of poorly portrayed in the comic books,
No, definitely.
hypersexualized,
Right.
underdressed. When she left the Joker, she entered into a very sapphic relationship with Poison Ivy. Like she's never been a strong, well-written character. However, there's just this element of entertainment that comes out of being Harley Quinn that people want to do. And like I said, like I made the joke that that's women in a nutshell, but the reality is, how many women do we know? Like the Dane Cook joke, the famous Dane Cook bit, where he literally is saying, women get in bad relationships, but they have such lame excuses for leaving. I can't just leave Deborah. He's got all of my CDs. I can't just go. And so that's why she stays in the abusive relationship.
I think Corey hates women.
I'm misogynist.
This listing 3 favorite women thing has taken a dark turn here.
But I mean, that's
Let's turn to Nico. Nico, number 1.
Kim Pine from Scott Pilgrim.
That's a good one.
okay. All right.
Posit More positivity there than
Man,
Nika or Corey's bashing of women here.
How are you gonna say that? I was standing up for women, and you're gonna say I'm bashing them.
Oh, were you though?
Yeah,
remember when you were just making fun of the ones who couldn't get out of abusive relationships?
but that's
Here at
what
North Dog
that's
Radio,
what
we value the life of women.
that's but
Women lives matter, Corey.
You got to stop saying lives matter. Because
Women lives
I can,
matter.
I can count on one hand the number of lives that I think matter.
All right, so Corey, you're number 1.
Look excited. No, my number one. Actually, it's Rogue.
Yeah, you know what?
I thought for sure you were going to
Go Blink. Exactly. As much as you talk about how Blink is your favorite character,
I do
and
love-
you leave her off your top 3.
So much, right?
You leave
So
it on top
much
3.
so that the fact that I didn't want to have one of the same top 3 as you was a deciding factor in why I didn't pick Marvel
Like
and DC
how
characters.
Blink is not in
Because I'm
your
a
top
huge
3.
fan of Blink.
Because
I know, like literally, That's all he talks about.
Right.
So-
right. In
all right.
weird, in apropos of nothing, he brings
You asked
up
Corey,
Blink.
who's your favorite female X-Men character?
Like
Blink.
we were talking about the Netflix
not-
thing, and I was like, "We should do an Age of Apocalypse series." She's like, "Yeah," and then they could do Blink because I love Blink and I want to be her best
She's
friend
not
in
even
real
in his
life.
top 3.
Okay, here's why she's down in my top 3.
Oh, God.
I
There's
put
no way you have a
I
good
put
reason
some
for
real
this.
thought into this.
Who was your number one? Rogue.
Rogue.
I like Rogue.
I put
I
some
do
real,
too.
I mean, yeah.
But Blink should have
Blink.
been on
So
there.
here's the thing.
Come
I
on.
put some real
Who
thought
was your
into
number
this.
3?
Scarlet Witch.
You're terrible.
So
She didn't even make it
what
on the list.
What
I do like Scarlet Witch was on my other list
See,
too.
this is the thing. Is no one can bump my 3, but
All
the
right,
matter
well, why
is
is it
Big
Blink?
I could bump
Okay.
I could bump your Wonder Woman for Blink.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
no,
Your top 3.
So Blink hasn't ever been in any, except for Exiles, which kind of almost doesn't count.
cares?
But she's never been, the character of Blink hasn't really developed at all, because in the real Marvel Universe, she died almost immediately. They brought her back recently, and then they never
a
did anything else
weird
with
way.
it. Yeah, and they never did anything with it.
I don't know. I
in
disagree.
the Age of
I-
Apocalypse,
she showed enormous growth.
Right, in Age of Apocalypse, she shined. However, Age of Apocalypse, she only exists for a very brief amount of time, and then that universe undoes itself.
Yeah, but not
So
only
then in
did she
Exiles-
shine in Age of Apocalypse, she was one of the few characters I felt like in Age of Apocalypse that showed character growth, which isn't always a necessity in a comic.
Right.
But it
But it
happened.
Right, but it did happen. But so to me, Blink hasn't really done a lot as a character to be a favorite character. She's one of my all-time favorite X-Men. Just what she could do and how they could play with
One of
that.
my all-time favorite X-Men, but now
All
on
right,
top.
Not one of my favorite
So-
characters.
All right, that's fair. Then why Rogue?
Because Rogue,
Quickly here, because
the
we're
storylines.
running
Yeah, I
low
know
on
we're
the,
running on time here. The storylines that Rogue has gone through here, where she started out as a villain in the hands of Mystique,
They've done a lot with her.
It's a good
become
story.
a leader. One of my favorite runs of X-Men is where she leads the team with Cannonball and Cable and Iceman
Yeah,
and
Cable.
the Omega Sentinel.
Cable.
So, like, to me, yeah, I know,
Cable,
fanatics.
Cable
But
and
so,
Bishop,
to me,
Cable and
Rogue
Bishop.
has truly grown as a character over these past 20 years, and they've done so many cool things with her. She had so many cool moments in the cartoon.
You're right, and I can't.
In the movies.
Like we said, we can't argue your top 3.
Yeah, I like
it's a
Rogue.
good top 3. I
I-
am just very surprised that
I-
Blake
I
did
surprised
not
you.
make
It was
an
a
appearance.
shock more
when,
than anything.
when we said
we're gonna-
characters, I focused on the development of them.
Okay, so we're running real low here before the segment bumps. Zach, your number
My
one.
number one is Death from the Sandman series. Dream Sister of the Endless. Unreal character. Is kind of like a conscience or a guiding character in the series, but doesn't have a lot of page time, which says a lot for what a huge impact she has. Just unreal. Favorite.
Unreal.
I do want to point out that Vertigo is DC, but that's okay.
It's their independent label comic.
Right, but
Boom.
Sandman has now been pulled into the DC proper.
To the DC property.
Yeah.
So as we run out here, Sadie Savage is number 1. Nico mentioned her as the character Supergirl.
Yeah.
She's big into it from the TV show. To
I bet
the,
she's read more than Red Daughter of Krypton.
Oh, she's.
Oh yeah,
I,
she has. She's way more productive than I am.
You're
yeah.
the worst.
She's got about 5 graphic novels that she's
She's
trades.
also a karate state champion.
Yeah, she's a state
She's
champion.
better than me in pretty much every way possible.
She also just got back from a tournament in Atlanta. Her all 9s.
That's
Supergirl?
awesome.
All nines.
Phenomenal. Way to go,
All
Sadie
nines.
Savage.
Yeah, Sadie Savage
the
does rock.
true champion of the day.
If you're looking for a good Supergirl story, the animated story where the Darkseid captures her and turns her evil,
Pretty good one.
pretty good one. Pretty good one.
Let's jump out to our last break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk nonsense.
Hey, you listening to the podcast? What do you think so far? We really like doing it. Hit us up on Facebook.com/NerdThugRadio with your thoughts. Keep in mind, we're live every Monday from 1 to 3. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere. Nerd Thug Radio, talking nerdy to you.
Welcome back to Nerd Thug Radio.
Mop the kitchen!
Take out that trash.
That intro really is intense. I'm
Watch
not sure how
a
I feel
lot.
about it.
I like it a lot. Welcome back. This is the 4th segment of the show where 97% of the people tune out.
Every percentage
So
is
we
different.
talk about whatever we want to now.
Can I just say that I'm in the 97%?
You are.
Yeah.
You don't ever listen to your
I'm
own
out.
show.
That's
I am
actually a fact.
Joey Savage, sitting here with
Cory DLG.
the producer Nico DLG,
Yo.
and Angry Zach is 4th segment here.
I'm actually the captain.
Oh, yeah?
All right. Well, we'll
mean-
start calling him Captain Angry Zach.
I mean, if he's not going to own it.
Right. No,
Like-
yeah. He's having an identity crisis. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
He went
really-
Zach. He went
I have a
went
self-destructive
Joey
mentality.
Savage, and he forgot to declare himself the captain.
Yeah, not this time.
Yeah,
No one's listening, so it doesn't really matter if I declare myself or not.
that's true.
Segment 4.
if you're not a captain in the woods, does anyone care?
In the woods. Facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio.
Right.
You can find
Instagram.
us. Twitter.
Joey.savage 102.
No.
Is that right? That's
15.
weird.
It's
Why'd you pick that?
I didn't. It's the unofficial Instagram page.
Account.
Joey.savage15.
Oh, 15.
15.
Why is it the unofficial official? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Because we don't have a Nerd Thug Radio Instagram.
Why?
Because someone was going to make it.
Nico,
That's
so
not what I- that's
when
not
we
what I
first
said.
started
Someone-
this venture here 21 weeks ago, Nico DLG was going to be our social guy.
Right.
He's
Except
not very
I
social.
suck at social media.
And
And
so-
I
He didn't
never
have
used it.
Twitter till I came on and made one for
Right.
my first episode.
I have become the
Right.
Sultan of social media.
That's a
for
great
this,
name.
Right.
for this franchise. Nerd
Prince
Thug Radio.
Ali.
I really hate alliteration.
Fabulous.
I am the assassin of Twitter.
Alibaba.
Yeah, so instead of starting our own Nerd Thug Instagram
Strong
page,
as
I already had a
tanks,
huge
wonderful
following
men,
stop.
on my own page,
Please stop.
and I'd already been promoting the show and made a lot of contact with people, so I just kept it. And,
So
What is a huge following? What does that mean on the internets?
huge?
Like what?
well,
what's
I'm
the
not like
qualifier?
porn star huge, where I'm in the thousands,
Right.
but I have more than 500 people that were following.
shit.
Me. And so just from touching all kinds of different stuff.
I'm at 7, but I follow only porn stars.
He does.
So I follow people who have thousands of followers.
Right.
So I'm like a leader of thousands of
Which
people.
I
That's not how
started
that works.
like
I don't know that that's how leading works. Or,
Yeah,
or
listen.
really even English.
Listen, you can lead from the rear,
yeah.
the front, or out of the way.
Right, but you're not. You're in the middle actually, because it's the porn stars, and then it's you, and then the people who are following the porn.
You're
stars.
the middle of the
So you're not
centipede.
leading from the front or the rear
Or
So I'm leading
outside.
from the middle.
or the outside, because you're heavily involved. You're
let's-
nothing.
Let's
So
downplay it.
the
I mean,
great thing
heavily
is
sort of a stretch.
You make these.
the restraining orders.
Is it?
The restraining orders have been
Who's-
very clear.
Who's so into porn stars that they follow them on Twitter to read their words?
No. That's not why I follow them on Twitter.
Hmm.
It's because where everyone else posts like their at work selfies,
they're out.
they do the
their
same thing
Work selfies are
naked.
naked.
So there's lots of boobs on my
But
Twitter.
it's
feed.
great when you build some kind of online relationship with any kind of people who have tons of following. You tweet at them or you comment on their page, and now everyone else sees
That's fair.
what you're doing.
I guess.
That's
And it's
true.
worked. It's worked a little bit.
That's called leading from the middle.
It's worked a little bit. It's called being an assassin of Twitter.
really prefer that to not be a thing.
Leading from the middle.
Right.
Well, just stop being such a follower then.
You're in the middle. That's you're
It's
following
Stuck in the
someone.
middle
Sometime.
with you.
Oh, see, I went to the middle with Jimmy
Stuck
World.
in the middle with. I like that song.
It's such a good song.
We
Old
talked about it
Jimmy
before.
Eat World
We did. That's an important song
Yeah.
in the history of the show.
and your life. And dead air.
Yeah, I have nothing to say to that.
And then nothing.
And for once on Nerd Thug Radio, I stumped the Cory DLG.
Oh
Write that down.
man.
Stumped the DLG. Man, he gets excited here.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of Jimmy Eat World,
I don't think
Zach's excited.
those things are unrelated.
It's called a segue. You got to learn about
You're
them.
terrible at segues.
We didn't say-
All of you were terrible.
I
didn't
never
say-
said I was good at them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
true.
No one's
You
calling
can't-
I'm
themselves
so terribly
Segway
bad at them that
aficionado.
people enjoy them.
Right.
Everything you guys say is in vacuum.
Hey, note to self, Nico. This is Zach's last show.
Right.
Fair enough.
Just cut his mic off.
Well, actually, he won't come back till episode 200 because he comes back with just 2 with extra zeros behind it.
Okay, okay.
Oh, I get
Hopefully
it.
we make it there.
That's good. Good one.
Hopefully we get there.
Yeah.
Good one.
200. I'm gonna be busy.
Episode 200.
I don't know. This
4
may be
years
something
away.
worth you guys thinking about for doing a top 3, and I'm not suggesting that I should be on it. This is something a little where you'd have to use your imagination a little bit on the top 3.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not
out.
just taking other people's characters and saying here's why they're awesome. I think you guys should have a list of top 3 worst superpowers if a character had them.
Oh gosh.
So,
have you
like,
written this?
just-
Have you written this book yet?
No, but I think it's a neat idea.
What is it?
I think it's a neat idea of
Worst-
like.
So,
worst
I think it's
superpower.
a neat
Group
idea
text.
of wrapping your head around
In the group
Sorry.
text, he texted us about worst superhero powers
Right.
that
And
don't
he-
exist.
that don't exist, and he was going to write some
Oh,
kind of
okay.
book
So we were
to
gonna
get us interested in
Okay.
it.
Because I think it'd be an interesting struggle, right, to have superpowers but then be completely useless.
Well, let me
I do have a
ask you a
superpower.
question.
I control
Useless or
toothpicks.
detrimental?
No, I think
I control
detrimental takes you
toothpicks.
too far in the other way. Detrimental gets you a character like Rogue,
True.
Let
But
me-
her power has
whereas
benefits,
useless
though.
just becomes a weird kind of not quite inconvenience. I don't know. I just think it's interesting, kind of some of the dumb superpowers you could have.
Let me ask a question though. Do you still call it a superpower if it's useless?
Or is it just a power?
Or is it just a thing you can do, like a party trick?
Like a magician.
It's tough to say.
An illusion.
Like if you take
illusionist.
if you take
An illusionist.
An illusionist.
if we're in the Marvel universe, right?
Make me a taco.
If you're Homo sapiens superior, then no matter what your power is, it's a power, right? You're still a mutant. So that's kind of the thought I would have. Like being able to roll your tongue into a circle, that's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that clearly only you can do.
Like I can pull a rabbit out of a hat?
No, Joey's power is to just be able to spawn toothpicks
that's my power.
magically into his hands.
Yep, that's it.
That's gross. Toothpicks give you colon cancer.
Confirmed.
What?
Bye.
I'm done.
Bye.
I'll be dead by
Anyway,
episode 200.
I just think it'd be neat, and I
Is
also
that factual?
And to
Nico, check him.
Joey's point about
I think he's looking it up.
the book or the story I was going to write, I thought it'd be neat to have a guy who has a useless superpower and another guy who has a useless superpower, and one of them gets driven nuts and he becomes a villain because of it. And
I
they
said
end
I
up
wouldn't
getting
read
thrown
it
together.
unless there was a sidekick dragon.
Dumb. You're dumb.
So
So like Lockheed?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something similar.
Why don't we rip other stuff
Similar but not congruent.
But if you rip off enough stuff, it seems original when it's all in one place.
off? So
Ask Doctor Who.
My contention was that, and the reason I
Mic
think
drop.
it'd be an interesting conversation for you guys to
Pipe
have
bomb.
outside of this one, is that I think you could make it into an interesting story where it's a story about mutants or specially powered individuals, but it ended up not being at all relevant.
Cory
or-
DLG is very hesitant about new material and new ideas because he doesn't want anyone to steal them from him.
Right.
Yeah, that's his deal.
People are stealing our ideas.
People are stealing our ideas.
probably not.
So
but
I wrote
What
it.
people?
So I used to have a column a long time ago on a website called comicworks.com. They're probably still on there. I really don't know. I haven't checked it in
No one
many
cares.
years. But one of the ideas I did was I had literally written up a whole proposal. Marvel used to accept open submissions for writers for a brief period of time. I wrote a whole proposal up. I sent it in, and while it was in transit, and I know because I have the tracking number, they announced the new Excalibur comic book, and the roster was the exact same one that I literally had just mailed them in to pitch.
But that's what happens when you submit ideas to creative organizations like that. It's an understood agreement, whether it's in their submission.
Oh no, I
guidelines
signed
or
a waiver,
whatever.
but the pitch hadn't even reached them yet. I had the tracking number. So what the column I wrote was about that, and I came up with this idea that idea gnomes steal your ideas once you have them and make them known, and they give them to better people.
I see what you did there. The known gnomes.
The gnomes. So once you start knowing things and
Freaky.
telling people you know things, the gnomes steal your ideas.
That's crazy and insane.
And so here on the show, we've come up with lots of fun things. The Midnight Suns pitch we came up with, the Netflix ideas we've had,
Right.
And Marvel's ripped off quite a few of them
The
already.
Wildcat story.
Is that true?
Yeah, they've announced.
It's coincidental.
It's coincidental,
likely.
but it's definitely happened.
Like for instance, we talked about the Wildcats and we wanted to bring them back, and then
like,
a week later, Jim Lee tweets out, "New Wildcat story's coming."
Right.
Oh,
Netflix. 2 of the shows that I pitched are getting made into the Marvel Netflix shows.
So you, in your mind,
Yes, 100%.
okay. There's no reason
Good
really
point.
even to finish that
moving
thought.
on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Anyway,
From the known gnomes.
so my useless superpowers were this guy who can.
He can do anything.
Are we doing a top 3 again
Where
here?
is it
We're
going?
going top 3 already. I spawned colon cancer.
This guy knows the actual date, the number of days it is since the day of his birth. He can't travel in time in any way. He can't tell you what day or year it even is.
basically Rain
But he
Man.
always knows the number of days it is since his birth if someone else travels him around in time. For example, it's 2,344 days before the day I was born today.
Oh, so like any
what-
time period he's in, he knows how many days since his birth.
Right. But he doesn't know what the time period is. He doesn't know what the day of the week is, the year, nothing.
He's in a wheelchair and he can't even
He
move.
just knows it, right? And it's completely useless. And my other useless power
useless.
was that you periodically forget how to read or even understand reading as a concept, and it makes you furious all the time. And he would be obviously the villain.
These sound like brain disorders.
So he tells me
superpowers.
he tells me that he can write
It's
a
a
story.
fine line.
He can write this story.
I
and
can
make
write this
me
story
interested
and
in it.
make it a compelling
And
read.
so I said, prove it, and he.
I don't think it
backed
can
out.
be a long story. I didn't back out. I said I'll do
Don't
it.
tell me what to do. There better be a dragon in there.
I'm just saying, like, I think you could write an interesting story about, like I said, about the idea of having a superpower, but it not affecting your life or not making your life any easier or better or making you an empowered individual. I think there's story ground there.
Essentially, you're doing like the monkey's paw without a moral.
I don't know.
cheese.
I don't know what the correlation is between what you've just said and what I said. I know what the monkey's paw is. I don't need you to explain it.
You were saying how Like they would get something they want, which is a superpower, but it would give no benefit to them.
Or they were just born with it. They just had it.
Yeah, it's less
Basically.
like that. It's less that they've wished for a superpower and gone out of their way to get one, and more of they have all the stigma of having a superpower and can't do anything with it.
Yeah, but I feel like those powers are really like mentally encapsulated, so they're probably just like, you're just crazy, dude.
Yeah, they just have a brain tumor.
Right. Which is another thing they'd have to deal with. I'm telling you, there's fertile ground for story here.
I'm still waiting.
Fair enough.
There better be a dragon.
Okay,
Yeah.
don't actually put the dragon in there. Just put like some guy just like has like picture
His
of
name
Lockheed.
can be Dragon.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Or he has a
Can be
dragon
dragon.
tattoo.
Maybe this is terrible radio and you guys are going to have me back. I just think it'd be a fun idea.
This is
It's
terrible
really,
radio.
It's really tough to say.
No, I think it'd be funnier if like the powers were more relevant but still awful. For example, if someone could
Create a Waparito.
God,
their whim.
God, I hate that that's a thing
Yeah.
and that I've spent minutes of my life
Okay,
talking
but,
about.
but yeah,
No.
but that power would be ridiculous because then he could be like, I could just end world hunger. Here's Waparito.
Or I could just make more burgers than I have buns and have a taco with hamburger meat on
I can
Monday.
increase obesity. Waparito.
so like
Waparito.
you can ride clouds, but you can't control the directions they move or the speed they go.
So you can stand on clouds. and
Right.
it's
So like
completely useless.
you get super psyched when you figure it out and you're like, call me Cloud Dancer, and you're ready to roll, and then
then
you jump on a cloud and you realize
I can't-
you're going
I can't
literally 2
control
miles
it.
an hour, western wind blown. You're like floating away from all of your friends and
I
colleagues.
It's like the world's worst bus.
I like
Right.
where this is going.
Everyone hops on, they're like, let's go, Cloud Dancer, and they fall through the cloud because the power is
No, I
you
wanna go this
ride
way.
on clouds.
Or like you can fly, but it really wears you out as much as like sprinting would.
No,
and so
it's
you
like
can't
it's-
really go anywhere.
It's like swimming, but twice as hard.
right.
Someone's like,
Because you're trying
someone's
to
like,
move the
carry
mass
me
of
to
your
the top
body
of
through
that
the
building.
air, so you
Yeah.
constantly have to be paddling.
I like the cloud idea.
It is funny.
See, these are superpowers where you would be so excited when someone's like, "You can fly." You'd be like, "Yes!" And they'd be like, "However, here's the deal:
You can't
Son of
control
a-
where it goes.
I don't know, man. I do think it's super funny to forget how to read and then also forget reading as a concept. But I don't know how you
he's
could
he's
write a
just
story
staring at like a
around-
board, and he knew what it said like 10 minutes ago, and now he's just like,
right, like now he doesn't even recognize that it's a thing. Like people are like trying to explain things to him, and like I think it'd be funny to have him as a supervillain who like consistently makes these unbelievably complex and viable plans.
and then can't
But
read
then
them.
he forgets them, and so he shreds everything because he thinks somebody's
And
just
starts
spilled
over.
ink all over his paper because he
What is
doesn't
this
recognize.
thing?
It's not like
I had a good plan,
It's
but
not like
what
he
did I write
remembers
down?
forgetting how to read. It's just that entire concept falls out of his. Oh man, I'm cracking me up.
I could just picture
Cracking me
like
down.
the scene of him trying to order at a McDonald's. He's lost the ability to read. He just breaks down and is like, "Can I see the picture menu?"
Yeah. It's like when you go
I'll
to a
have
Mexican
that one.
restaurant and it's all in Spanish.
Or
so
like
you
they're
just,
yelling at
this
him.
looks good. I'll take this one.
Yeah.
But like it'd be even worse than that, right? Because
take
like he
number
wouldn't
14.
know what he was doing where he was.
Well, you
'Cause
would still know how
all-
to order.
Right, but all the signs would indicate that it was a drive-through, and he wouldn't understand that those
So would he
signs
like walk
meant
up to the
something.
drive-through and not drive-through?
No, he'd be in his car and be like, where am I? What is happening right now? There's no indicators.
But you wouldn't think he
that
would
would
like
be-
see everyone else doing it and like, okay, well this
Yeah.
is
Is
obviously what
he an idiot
this is.
too?
Is he just a moron?
Right.
All right. It's easy to poke holes.
How about his superpowers? He's just stupid.
Yeah, he's just a moron.
His name is Erder. Shut up, Erder. Erder.
Order, order.
Erder.
This show's gotten so bad this segment.
Man,
I'm so glad I'm part of that 97%.
we went to 10 to 2.
On another note, I rewatched that tightrope thing where that guy steals the other
Oh,
guy's identity.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
Nathan
is a
knows-
terribly
is it-
dark way to say what happened there, right?
Nathan
Right.
knows best. Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
man, it still wrecked me.
I guess I gotta watch this.
I cannot remember. I cannot forget whenever you were just like, "This has changed my life completely." Like,
It's all over for me.
It's like the entire other side of the spectrum from this Rick and Morty Georgia case thing.
oh god, I think it was hilarious. We talked about that last week a little bit. If you haven't watched it, you need to go watch it.
So if you haven't seen the entirety of Rick and Morty both seasons, then you need to go do that immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
first of
much
all, that cartoon in and of itself is great. I still remember they go to the casino and Rick shows Morty how to play the arcade where you play as
Roy.
the person.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Roy.
Right. In that Rex Morty's life, he's like, oh, what'd you do? Work in the rug store? Amateur.
Wow, you went back to the rug store after beating cancer? Really, Morty? Really?
Right.
Way to go out on a limb there.
Right. It was awful, man.
And then when he comes back, Rick's taking him completely off the grid. No social security number.
They're all like around. They're like, Rick's off the grid. That was...
I think I love the end credit scenes of like pretty much all the episodes are really great. And there was one where it's like Roy 2, but it's called like Ted. It's just a different person.
Right.
Roy 2 : Ted.
Yeah.
Or when they had the episode where they were getting TV from other dimensions.
Interdimensional cable. That's one of my
The
favorites.
corn playing like Die Hard. Okay.
Ball Fondlers is on.
All right. Okay. So coming back to reality, so that we just stop enjoying inside jokes that no one else gets.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
One of the most popular and the only full-length show produced specifically for Adult Swim.
That's true.
It's kind of interesting that because it's just
It
like
is true.
everything else is like 15 minutes or like 10 minutes long.
You're right.
Right, yeah.
You're right about that. This is
What
true.
about Venture Brothers?
Not produced specifically for Adult Swim.
Fair enough.
That's true. It's actually made by a separate company.
That show's an excellent.
It's also
Bum, bum, bum,
exclusively on Hulu.
That's an excellent program. as
Yeah,
well.
Venture Brothers is great. It's a total Johnny Quest ripoff, which I embrace.
Well, and
wholeheartedly.
there's like layers and layers of self-referential jokes and really, really, really obscure pop reference stuff.
Yeah, they have a lot of fun. Also, they had David Bowie as a supervillain for many
Right.
years,
Right.
which was great.
Right.
Which was just great.
I mean, how can you go wrong
Nothing
with
about that's not amazing.
Right. Because it was David Bowie.
It was David Bowie, so much so that he like referenced that supermodel he's married to all the time.
It really was great. So, in other news, I saw this. I don't know if you've seen this yet. They've announced a new augmented reality game for your cell phone. It's going to come out in time for Halloween.
that? I have not.
It
This
is
is gonna be good.
It is a scare-based augmented
Oh
reality
god, I
game.
hate scary
Oh.
stuff.
So here's how it works.
Feels like a bad idea.
You sign up for it. You activate it. And if you have the iPhone Watch, they recommend you wear the iPhone Watch while you play because the iWatch will monitor your heart rate, and the game will use that data to mess with you more.
Wow.
I'm going
this
to
is great.
swipe left on this
So
one.
this game,
Aren't people getting hit by cars playing Pokemon? Like, how is a game that scares you a good idea?
because you're supposed
Yeah,
to play
you
it at
just run
home.
into the street.
Well, you're supposed to play it at home, and you're supposed to turn the lights off and use
yeah,
the
let's
phone.
play it at home, the one place you're supposed to feel safe.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
just ruin your life.
Well,
Does
and that's
swipe
kids-
left mean you're not on board?
right.
Yes.
Left is bad, right is good.
Like Tinder. Like I've never been on Tinder, but I hear if you swipe right, you like what you see.
Yes.
If you swipe left, you don't.
So the app,
Interestingly, the word for sinister, which is bad, comes from the same Latin root word as left.
swipe left.
Tinder knew that.
Yeah, I did.
So the app actually will send you text messages threatening your life from unknown numbers.
I'm out. I am totally
will
out.
also-
What?
Who
What?
thought this was a good idea?
It will also send you photos.
Who created this?
Like of your
Was
apartment.
this
and
created
of
by
you.
M. Night Shyamalan?
What do you mean
No. Actually, it had a failed Kickstarter, and then they relaunched.
I cannot
the
imagine
Kickstarter.
why it failed
They
originally.
relaunched the Kickstarter post Pokemon Go,
And Stephen King backed it, so
and
everyone's in.
Exploded.
I
Once people
don't-
realized what augmented reality really could do, man, augmented reality is going to
Hard
change.
pass.
In the next 5 years, augmented reality is going to completely change the way we play video games and interact with stuff. But this game, just the previews, the little clips they showed, were terrifying because you use the
That's why
phone
I'm
obviously
gonna-
to
I'm gonna
interact.
stick to some retro video games.
They use some really scary looking monsters here, and then like creepy clowns. But also, it interacted with the apartment they were using as a setup. It's like you were looking at a photo on the wall, like a hanging picture, and then all of a sudden the picture started to melt, and then written behind it was the word "die."
This is horrible.
This is horrifying.
Have you ever seen
So
the
basically,
Five
this
Nights
is
at
gonna be
Freddy's
the-
stuff?
Oh, okay. So let me tell you the story. That is a wicked, crazy, like super in depth. There's 5 games now. There's a
Five
fifth
Nights
game.
at Freddy's?
5 games now.
What is this? I don't know. What
Five
this
Nights
is.
at Freddy's. It's
a
like
horror.
animatronic.
It's a horror game. It's like Chuck E. Cheese, but like the animatronics roam around at night.
Is this a restaurant?
No, it's
Yeah, it's like a Chuck E. Cheese.
It's
You
a
need-
real thing?
No,
Oh,
you know
it's
Chuck E.
video-
Cheese
it's a
has the
video game.
animatronic.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like an
okay.
iPad
it's like
game, iOS, Google Play.
Okay, I have not heard of
It
this.
came out on the computer first. It was
Right.
Like first, it was like a game where they're basically like,
And Freddy's a teddy bear, right?
yeah, he's like a big bear, but they're like big animatronics, like Freddy.
scare
Fat.
you.
Yeah, they scare you, and they're trying.
Kids
to kill
love
you.
this crap, man.
But you basically stuck in like just one. You're stuck at your desk, and you have 2 doors on either side, and then you have video cameras that you can pull up, but it blocks your vision of the doors.
Whoa.
And you have a limited amount of power that you can use to open up and close the doors.
What was that game we played on my PlayStation?
Outlast, I think.
Yeah. So
one
this
was-
was a weird game. You're a reporter. You're trying to break a story on a mental institute. Yeah, thank you. Mental institute. You break in while one of the inmates is actually breaking out, and he turns off the power, releasing all of the loonies and shutting all the lights off. So you're in pitch black, and then you've got your little camcorder that has night vision, however limited battery usage, and you don't have offensive weapons. The entire premise of the game is you are hiding and sneaking your way through the mental institution.
Swipe
So
left.
we were stuck on this section where it's like there's like these big levers to turn on the generators, but they'd make a lot of noise, so
And-
they'd attract like the lunatic. So like first thing you do is you go pull the lever, then you go hide in the locker, wait for him to come in, and then you run out behind him. Oh, it was
There's this one
terrifying.
game that I used to play. It's pretty awesome, and it just scrolls left to right, and you can go down like pipes and stuff,
That's when video games peaked for me.
and you can fight
Mario
like
Brothers.
King Koopa.
So just so
and,
we're
like,
clear,
you can get mushrooms. And
giant
go bigger.
babies, both of you, huge cowards.
No,
Can't handle
it's
a
not
little
even
fight?
that. Like it's not that I would necessarily the augmented reality shit. That seems unnecessarily terrifying.
I like to like get
but
my,
the video
my blood
game,
pressure going.
The video game, it's not even necessarily as scary. Like it just doesn't appeal to me.
I don't know. It's
I
a
don't like-
challenge. It's
Yes.
a
Is
different
it?
challenge.
Yeah, I guess.
It's almost like a puzzle game, but the stakes are your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Except not.
Next, no, not really, not your actual life. Your
Except
video
the
game
fun
character life.
way to play it was to turn all the lights out.
Yeah, we
and
played
turn
it
the
like
volume way up.
We were playing at like 4 a.m.
Pretty intense.
You were telling me about this. and
Yeah.
You said it scared the
It
bejeebus
did.
out of you.
I stopped playing. I gave it to
Yeah.
the He goes, "Hey, I'm going to bed. You take care of this.
I'm done.
I'm done." But I got about an hour and a half in. Like
It
it's
was
pretty
really
intense.
Good. It's pretty good.
You gotta like crawl under beds. You like watch them walk by. Like they're looking for you. Like it's crazy.
Speaking of video games, have you tried No Man's Sky yet? Have you
No,
gotten
I
into it?
haven't. I'm hoping to get it this weekend. I hope.
Okay.
So no, the game you were hyped up about, and you're like, no, I'm good.
Well, it's just timing. I haven't.
well,
yeah.
timing
the
and
week is not
stuff's not free.
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
You know,
Right.
It's
It is
hard.
a $60
It's
game.
hard when you're a poor like radio host. You
Yeah.
don't make a lot of money.
Sign
to
up for our
buy video
Patreon.
games.
Advertise
donate.
here.
Advertise here. on
Advertise
Nerd
here.
Radio.
We don't actually have a Patreon.
Advertise here.
We should though.
No.
Advertise here.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
Advertise here.
Advertise here.
Advertise.
Your ads heard here.
Do you like water?
Do you like water? See, that's a really great ad that I nailed.
You did
in one
know
day.
that.
It's pretty solid.
I was cracking up laughing the entire time.
Right.
While we were trying to record it.
He
But
died
so-
in the desert.
I think these augmented. Yeah, he died in the desert. I think augmented reality is going to be a big deal. I'm excited about what it can do.
It's already a big deal on the business side. The company I work for runs a program called SAP, and it's basically it's basically everything your business does is stored within this one computer software system, from your purchasing to your sales to your warehouse management, all this stuff, right?
And then you die.
Well, but what SAP has done, they have this modular system called warehouse management, and back when Google Glass, I don't know what it's referred to as.
Glass. Just
But whatever,
glass.
those goggles you put on your face from Google. They developed an integration with some of the SAP software, so much so that you can find a video online where when you're pulling stuff from the warehouse, so you get on a forklift and put these Google glasses on, and the warehouse, based on the material that needs to be pulled to ship an order,
It'll tell you where to go?
When you're looking at the warehouse floor, the arrows light up, and when you turn your forklift to the stuff you're supposed to pick, it lights up in green. It also comes up and says, "Hey, your forklift is at X battery or needs X service." And when you park the forklift again, it walks you through how to perform the service yourself by highlighting the parts in the engine or in the motor or whatever. It's
awesome.
some slick stuff. The video online of it is unbelievable. I can't remember what it's like. SAP Google Glass is what it's called, but it's really interesting, and it speaks to that augmented reality thing, and that's how it always happens, right?
And then you die if you don't do it
where
right.
people can
Yeah.
make money from something, that's where
Right.
they're going to develop it early on. But it's a world of possibilities.
Yeah, there's nowhere it can't go. So
Well, and that's where stuff like Google Glass or Google Glasses or Google Goggles or whatever they're called, that's where that really becomes a viable or a useful tool, right? Nobody wants to surf the internet on a pair of glasses right in front of their eyes. That's
No.
dumb.
Nope,
But this
nope.
augmented reality stuff is going to take that to the next level, and that's
Yeah,
where Google's
yeah.
really going to start to make some money off of these things.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about Google is that they do spend a lot of money developing things that, for the short term, have no viable economic impact.
Or they seem silly, or like they seem excessive.
They
or
are
like,
excessive.
hey, like
Google has a, I think it's called Google X, where they just like experiment, where they just like throw
Right.
money at projects.
Well,
and see
well,
what
they
takes
actually, and I don't know if they
Tax
still do
write-offs.
this. I don't know if they still do this, but they actually asked their employees to spend 5 hours a week working on experimental projects. They say to them, create for 5 hours a week as you're billing your hours for the week.
Create.
Log 5 hours on a creative. Just take it somewhere. Do something different. And so that's where a lot of this stuff starts as is in development, where these guys literally are just, hey, you know what? I had a weird idea. Let me see if I can integrate this in.
Man,
and
wouldn't it be
clip
cool
this
to put a camera on your head and film stuff as you're walking around?
Right, and so then it becomes
Well,
something.
that's where that online Google Lego thing came from. Have you guys looked at that, where you can get online, if you get Google Chrome and it's an app or something you add on to Google, and you build stuff with Legos online.
What?
This sounds amazing.
Like unreal, the level of
Is this a real thing? You're not pulling my leg here?
100% real.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
You can go through the tutorials first to learn how to work the tool,
Right,
and how
right.
to build certain things, and then it's like free reign.
Can you get it like on an iOS app too, or is it only through Google Chrome?
I think it's only through Google Chrome.
God.
Or it was when I
It's
signed
like
up. I signed up a couple years ago for it, and it's really, really
I have to
fun
look
and
into
neat
this.
to do, because it's every Lego piece they make, and it gives you. It starts you out with a flat board, right?
Right,
That's
right.
where your starting point is. But then as you go through, or as you do more tutorials, it's almost like a game, but it's not quite a game. But as you learn more stuff, it opens up different kind of pieces for you, and it opens up building stuff straight from the ground up.
So does it give you like layouts of like, here, you want to build a fire truck today? You just or you just
I
kinda
didn't get to
self-build?
that point in it, but where it starts out is you, like the tutorial or whatever it is, you come on this scene that somebody's already built with Legos and says, you're going to add this piece to it. This is how you're going to learn how to manipulate it. This is how you're going to learn how to build it. And then there's another one where it says, now build this thing mirrored exactly. And so you kind of progress, and it's not difficult to pick up the tool, but there are some kind of pieces to it, and you learn. It's a slick thing.
It sounds fascinating. I am interested.
It's
Swipe right.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, and
right on that
Legos
one.
actually,
Well, and it's stuff like that that comes out of Google that initially doesn't seem to have a lot of economic value, which the Lego thing probably doesn't. It was a good tie-in with the Lego movie or whatever. But like even the Google glasses or whatever, like people made fun of it, rightly so, because it's humorous to think, I surf the internet on my glasses.
And yet-
But now this
10 years
augmented
from
reality, this is going to go off the charts.
right. No,
And
and
just from the safety and the safety standpoint now with this augmented reality stuff, like if everybody in a warehouse or everybody in a chemical plant is wearing these Google glasses and identifying safe paths to walk, especially during fires or danger situations.
Danger.
Well, in the
Danger.
in the increases in efficiency when you start thinking about the fact that literally someone can run a program to micromanage the whole warehouse, where literally they can get up in the morning and they can say these are the tasks they're going to get assigned today, and then everyone puts on the Google glasses, clocks in, and task A, get to work. Task B, task C.
Yeah, so
these,
it's all
these
played out.
38 tasks need to be done today.
And SAP, and I know a good bit about it because it's an enormous part of what I do, but it lends itself very well to that kind of thing. It lends itself very well to taking or automating the part of your business and letting the system work for you and do that piece for you, so that the human component is more efficient and less prone to mistakes. And
Right.
this is the next evolution of that. These Google glasses and this augmented reality is going to become, it's the next step of all kind of mobile order entry. When you go to grocery stores and you see them scanning, doing inventory with these handheld scanners, it's the next step of that.
Build
and
with
also-
Chrome.com.
So Pokemon Go is a joke. This terrifying.
I'm a level
These
11
people are going to
Pokemon
try to
trainer.
this game
Soon to be
where
level
people
12.
are trying to kill me through my phone is also weird and horrifying.
I would
But
never
like
play
this,
it. This would be my phone would be against the wall, not
right.
even
But
looking
this
at it.
augmented reality, I think you're right. I think that's some slick stuff that's coming down the line.
Yeah, but also that it's like you can also like you don't have to have as much of a rigorous training because it's like it teaches you through it. So
And speaking as someone who has spent a lot of time training a lot of adults,
That's horrible.
who truly wanted to do their job well, but were very hard to break from bad habits. When you get into things like that make it just it compounds the difficulty to do it the wrong way. It becomes a lot easier to take that next step in training, because anybody can train a button pusher, but with something like these Google glasses and this augmented reality, you can take that next step and say, look, you're going to do it the way these glasses tell you, so I'm not going to bother telling you where to click, but here's why you're doing it, and here's how you can make this work for you.
It's called Night Terrors, is the name of it.
Yeah, of
I'm out.
course it is.
Swipe
Why
left.
wouldn't it be called Night
Swipe
Terrors?
left. But I'm
So-
swiping right
Anyway,
on.
sorry to get off
Negative
on
Can I
a
get
tangent
cheesy
there.
villains though?
No,
Can I
I
get
think
like
augmented
Nosferatu?
reality-
No, these are
see.
like terrifying monsters.
All
Like
right,
these
no,
are like
no,
And
Not
it
it.
takes pictures of your house?
no, it uses.
I'm
so
already
you're
scared.
looking through the camera already on your phone because
Right.
it's your only light source.
But I thought you said it texts you pictures of your own
Oh
house.
no, it texts you pictures, but it's not of your house. But like I don't know what it texts you. It says it's going to text
does
you
it like send
terrifying
like, photos? I wonder if it
Yeah.
like sends you like its own photos or like it takes photos from like your gallery and like sends
Oh
them.
god,
Oh,
it's scared
man.
him out.
Or like, can you imagine
I'm
if
out.
you took the next step in like psychological terror and like found out what kind of car your loved one drove and sent you a picture of it smashed on the side
Oh,
of the
yeah,
road?
that's
Or
swiping
like
left.
real deep scary
I'm
stuff.
pretty
Not
sure-
like, oh, the clowns are gonna eat me, but like everyone I love just died in a fiery
my
car
God.
crash.
That would be.
Oh,
that
There was
would
a
be
massive
terrifying.
train
way
accident.
worse.
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
Please
Sounds
don't
horrible.
do that, Night Terrors Company.
Why did we just talk about this? They're gonna steal our idea.
Yeah, they are. Now they're
gonna
going to
be a
make it.
real
You
deal
build it
thing.
into reality by saying it on the show.
The known gnomes.
The known gnomes are going to ruin it.
Oh no.
So before we get out of here today, I wanted to mention this. It's a longtime favorite thing of mine. I listen to ESPN radio here in Houston. The Blitz is one of my favorite shows. They regularly check in on Iron Sheik's Twitter account. For those who don't know, Iron Sheik was a wrestler in the 70s and 80s.
I think it's pronounced Shake.
Yeah, I don't
he
think
was
it
even
is.
relevant in the 90s.
Yeah, and so now he's a 70-year-old
I
Iranian
think
with
relevant's
Twitter.
a stretch, isn't it?
No, he was relevant.
No, he was relevant.
He
in
didn't
the
wrestle.
90s. He
did
wrestled like
wrestle.
Sergeant Slaughter and stuff. In the
He
90s.
was his partner
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
during the Gulf War.
So forgot about that. So now he's just a 7-year-old man, a 7-year-old Iranian man
Who's crazy?
who has access to a computer.
Is he really Iranian, or is
No,
he?
that
is
is
his
his-
character?
No, he's Iranian. I think that's why they made him
Iranian.
So I'm gonna read.
All right.
I'm gonna read this verbatim. I'm not gonna use the curse words here, and you'll
Sure,
see
that's
that his
good.
English is pretty bad. That's how you know he's really Iranian.
Oh my god.
So here's one of his tweets. North Korea, you are punk, you are jabroni. I can beat the F out of you forever because you have a Rice Krispie D. Have a good day.
That's his superpower is to trash talk on.
You know, at the
on the
beginning
Twitter.
of that tweet, I was like, "This isn't nice," but then he finished strong.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
So here's another one. Apparently he's a fan of the cartoon South Park.
Are you following him?
Yeah, I do.
Why
Of
would
course.
you?
Are you leading from the middle on him too?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. South Park Iron Sheik class. Other cartoon can go F their own A till they die worse than Chris Brown mother.
Wow.
Wow.
What?
He
Annihilated.
annihilated.
Iron Sheik.
He's going savage on this.
He's a natural.
Iron Sheik South Park class. That's
Class.
probably my favorite thing of that.
Class.
Here you go.
Class.
Here's him trying to sell tickets to an event. Are you ready?
All right, last tweet before we jump out.
Yeah, last week. Come on.
Iron Sheik Roast Rumble NYC October 30th. Get your ticket, jabroni. F face.
F face.
And then he puts in a link for the tweet for
What
the
is
where you can go by the.
F-O?
Oh, okay.
And he uses the whole word there.
This
But
guy's
yeah,
a terrible person.
he says October 30th. Get your tickets. F face. And then he posts the link for the tickets.
Sure.
So this has been a wonderful
Truly
episode
amazing.
20 of Nerd Thug Radio. We close it in typical
your
fashion.
tickets,
We
F
should just
face.
close every show from now on with Iron Sheik tweets.
Iron Sheik
I'm
tweets.
on board.
I'm on board
Iron
with
Sheik
that.
tweets.
We can put some classical music behind it or something.
Yeah,
But
yes.
don't make it lame. Don't start doing other Twitter people.
No, we're gonna
Just
do Iron Sheik.
Just
all
Iron
the
Sheik.
time.
Nico, find some classical music and we'll
I
have
will.
DLG
Yeah.
I'll
read
find
them
some. I'll find some non-copyright infringing classical
So
music.
for
F face. It's
Actually,
all
all
free.
classical music is now non-copyright infringing because they're all dead.
Okay, that's fair.
thank you guys for listening
F
one more
face.
time. I'm the Captain Joey Savage
Cory DLG.
Nico DLG.
and
our boy Zach.
Hey, goodbye.
thanks for coming, Zach. And that's been us. That's Nerd Thug Radio.
As
Talking
always,
nerdy to you.
talking nerdy to you.
Thanks for checking out this production of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star Community Radio, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, TV, media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production produced by the show host and Dick Schissler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schissler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.